Test, test, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hey everybody, about to go live 5:30 Pacific time on talking all about the fastest way to make $100,000 with a single piece of property, and it's how I've done it in the past. Jump in, go to kaiandrew.com, click on that little button for the webinar tonight. See you soon. Hey everybody, about to go live 5:30 Pacific time on talking all about the fastest way to make $100,000 with a single piece of property, and it's how I've done it in the past. Jump in, go to kaiandrew.com, click on that little button for the webinar tonight. See you soon. Hey everybody, about to go live 5:30 Pacific time on talking all about the fastest way to make $100,000 with a single piece of property, and it's how I've done it in the past. Jump in, go to kaiandrew.com, click on that little button for the webinar tonight. See you soon. Hey everybody, about to go live 5:30 Pacific time on talking all about the fastest way to make $100,000 with a single piece of property, and it's how I've done it in the past. Jump in, go to Kaiandrew. Drink. Notes. Test, test, test. Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. All right, let me just make sure I am in focus. How's everybody doing today? It's almost the end of the week. I can't believe it's already freaking Thursday. My monitor is all out of whack. What's up, Christopher? Good to see you virtually. I wish I could see you guys too. I think that'd be a little bit too much. What's up, Chris? Chris Ha, Christopher Ford. All right, let me get this out of here. Got the email sent out. Hey, just out of curiosity, are you guys getting too many emails from me? I know it's launch week and everything, but between the webinars and then the program, I hope I'm not drowning you guys out with emails. It's not my intent. All right. Oops, I need to go live. Okay, as people are trickling in. All right, I appreciate that you like the reminders, Chris. Okay, cool. Good to know. I think you two are probably more of the more understanding ones, though. All right, so it's 5:30 on the dot. You guys know the drill. We are going to wait about 5 minutes as people get settled. Folks are getting the emails, they're logging in, they're getting their snacks, all that stuff. So hang out for a couple minutes, and then right before we get into the training tonight, I will go live on YouTube. So all the folks over there, they're not as patient as you Zoom folks, so we have to wait. They have a tough time waiting
3 or 4 minutes. Ooh, it is almost blueberry season, right? What is it? It's like around August, late July. This is right about now, early August. That is when the best time is to pick blueberries. I have a farmer friend that I went to undergrad with that has one of, if maybe the largest blueberry farm in the Pacific Northwest. And so I get to go there and I fill up, like literally I get those giant coolers, you know, that you get from like Dick's or like from any kind of like sporting goods store, like those giant ones that you carry around or you lug around on wheels. And we fill up like 2 or 3 of those. Hello, hello, hello. All right, for folks who are just jumping into Zoom right now, we're just doing our customary thing where we're waiting for another couple minutes. So get situated, get your notepads, and I wish I could play music. I don't know if that would be too distracting though. I don't know about you guys, but tell me in the chat window, are you guys always listening to stuff? I feel like I'm always listening to like classical music, jazz music, or I'm listening to a podcast, or I'm listening to something, either when I'm working, I'm running, I'm going to the gym, whatever it is, I'm always listening to something. And so it's weird when it's just like silent, like right now. Maybe I'm too into my phone, huh? You too, Christopher? Okay. Hey, Monica. Aw, of course. I'm glad that you're enjoying it. Are you the same Monica Mon from Australia? Hi, Club Kai. Hey, Amy. Okay, gotcha. Mon, were you one of my clients from Australia? Are you the same person, or is that somebody else? I've had 2 clients from Australia. And it was quite a while ago, and I don't quite remember their name. So sorry, Mon, if that's you. Okay, yeah, I remember that. What part of Australia, if you don't mind sharing? I really, really want to visit Australia. I just know right now there's some crazy quarantine stuff, right? What's up, Noah? Yep, I'm the same way. Brisbane, okay. Nice. Does it sound funny, my accent to you? Not funny, but are you like, haha, Kai said that incorrectly? Let's see how many folks. Hey, everybody. Ooh, we're getting a full room here in Zoom. Hey, everybody in Zoom. We're just kind of doing our thing. Everybody get settled. Get your notepads up. Go grab some drink or go grab a drink. Grab some snacks. Today, we are doing a fun one. It was one of the most voted topics of how to make a quick $100,000. There's a little asterisk in there, but we'll get to that here in a second. We'll have a good one. So, and then towards the end, we'll do a bunch of Q&A. But we're just kind of waiting for folks, kind of getting their kids settled, wrapping up dinner, and getting to their desktop or to their iPad to jump into Zoom. And so we usually start always about maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes, a little bit afterwards, just so people can get settled. So just hang tight. And then before we get rolling, I will go live on YouTube, like I've always said, Zoom. You guys are always way more patient than our YouTube folks. Okay. Oh, you're Hungarian. Okay, nice. Kai, can you let everyone know if they want to chat with the attendees, they have to switch to... Ooh, okay, good point. So Christopher just reminded me, because Sarah did this last time too, is that if you want to... Oh, shoot, you know what? You say that to me, and I don't even have that switched on. Is that you want to make sure underneath in your chat window, if you want to talk with everybody, you want to make sure that you change it to all panelists and attendees, because it's by default, it's just to panelists. Okay, allow attendees to chat with all panelists. Okay, perfect. All right, and then let me just get this situated. All right, just one more minute. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go live. Who's that? Hey, Jonas, what's going on? Hey, Cena. Oh, Cena, did you switch over to Zoom? Couldn't handle YouTube anymore, huh? All right, I am going live on YouTube. Get ready. All right, we're live on YouTube. And we've got a good amount of people. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So as people start trickling in through YouTube. Hi. All right. Oh, shoot. You guys know what? I might have messed up YouTube. Oh, nope. I think we're good. I had originally went public and then I switched to private and I went back to public. I'm not sure if it's picking it up now, so I'm hoping it is. If anybody's in YouTube, yep, there's coming in. Hi, everybody on YouTube. As you're coming in, introduce yourselves in the chat window, grab some snacks. We're gonna get jumping right into it right now. So I'm gonna start switching screens here. All right, Zoom. And just as a friendly reminder, when I start the presentation or the training, I can't see your texts or your chats. Oh, by the way, can everybody tell me video, sound quality, looking and sounding good like normal? Just before I switch everything over and I can't see or hear anybody. Yes? Perfect. Excellent. Okay, I'm switching over here now. Zoom. Boom. And then let me make sure I get this for YouTube. Oh my gosh, you guys get to see my dirty, messy desktop. All right. And YouTube. All right. So my thing has been acting up. Okay. So just a heads up, I don't know what's going on with my internet or my iMac today. It's been kind of wonky, so if it freezes in the middle or something weird happens, I promise I'll try to jump right back in, but just kind of give you guys a heads up. I've been having some issues today with it. Not quite sure. All right, so just a quick little overview of how this works. If this is your first time, maybe you've already been in here a couple times already. This is our actually it's technically our fifth webinar. We had the big one on Friday, but it's the fourth weekly live webinar where I'm talking about different points, different subjects that are probably the most asked or questioned or brought up topics in my consultations, in my DMs, in the comments section. And so today's topic, as you can read on the screen, is the fastest way to make $100,000 with property. And these are all topics. I've kind of reorganized the words or the title a little bit, but these are all bullet points inside the program, which we'll talk a little bit more here in a little bit. So this is the last 2 days to enroll in the program. And after Friday, basically the doors are closed for the live 6-week program that we will be holding in August. And so if you have any questions about that, go ahead and throw in the chat window. Anybody who's just trickling in now who's new to this, I can't see your chat, so don't think I'm ignoring you. I will definitely read it after the training. But as we dive into it, I'll spend probably the next, I keep saying 15, 20 minutes, but it ends up being closer to 30 minutes when I go through this. I'm not sure how long this will take. There's a little bit more numbers in this one, which I'll share with you. And so you get a good idea of how I do the very, very basics of numbers. But after the 30 minutes, that's when I open it up. I'm definitely going to pitch to you guys one last time the enrollment, or actually second to last time of the enrollment. And I actually have a really special deal for some of you folks in here. I already know that some of you guys are gonna like it. So make sure you guys stick around for that. But other than that, towards the end, we open up for Q&A. We can talk with one another. Please chat with each other. Obviously be very friendly. I think so far this entire week, we've only had one person be kind of rude, and they weren't even that bad. They're just kind of a jerk in some ways. But other than that, everybody's super awesome inside the chat window. Just treat each other with a little bit of respect. Okay, that's all. We're all adults. Let's be nice people. All right, let's dive right into it. Okay, so fastest way to make $100,000 with property. Quick recap. We went over on Monday. If you guys were here, we went over a new way to search for land. Remember batch leads, reaching out to folks even when it's not listed. We got Tuesday. We went over the fastest and cheapest way to get land. Remember, lease and hack. And then Wednesday, we went over, which was yesterday, whether to start big or go small. Remember the scope of the project and then also the size and the type of structures relating all the way back to the customer. And then you phase it down and you have a strategic plan of how to implement and execute. And today is the money side of stuff. More importantly, like, hey, before we even buy, we need to have these plans set up and how fast can we get? And I picked an arbitrary number of 100 because 6 figures always sounds nice and sexy and fun. It's also very realistic. Sometimes when I talk through this, some folks will make maybe 30, 40,000. Other folks will maybe make 300, 400, 500,000. It's just all over the board. But it really depends on how you execute, okay? And before we get into it, of course, the Thursday mini webinar exclusive promo code. Right now, everybody took up the consultation seats. So the last one was taken up, I believe it was, is it Lulu? Lala? I'm sorry, Laura. Laura has a really cool nickname that I already forgot. But she picked up the last slot yesterday, but we still have the group special, which basically you get a 60-minute group consultation at the end of the program where we wrap everything up in a nice little bow. And even though it's not gonna be as personalized as a one-on-one, you will still be in smaller groups. It's not going to be like a giant group of everybody. It'll be probably smaller groups between 20, maybe 25 folks. I'm still kind of working through those numbers where we can go through and answer all your questions. And then here's the real thing for some folks out there is I'm going to offer a payment plan. And it's going to be because I've had a lot of people reach out to me and I thought about it. I'll explain more about it later. There'll be a link and everything. There's some caveats to it. But anyways, make sure you stay to the end. I'll give you as a link and we'll talk more about the details about the payment plan if that's something that you're interested in. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so just a quick heads up. With everything that I'm going to share with you, I have to be very careful how I share this. And obviously, a lot of folks out there, you're either just stumbling across this on YouTube because you saw it in your browse or your feed or something. And then everybody in Zoom who actually knows me or worked with me before, you probably know this already, but it's a good reminder, is that what I'm about to show you, I have to be careful when I show it to you. Not have to be careful showing it to you. It's just when you give somebody a hammer, the whole world looks like nails. You know that whole saying? And so when I show this to you, these are real, well, these numbers are examples, but these are real examples of numbers, if that makes sense, of what you can actually do. And actually, I've done better than that. I have students right now who are actually in the process of outperforming these types of numbers. But the point is the heads up or the disclaimer here is there's 3 things that you really have to understand. Or at least do, or consider, is you have to know your market, okay? So everything I'm gonna show you is absolutely 100% feasible, but if you don't know your market, you're not gonna be able to replicate these, okay? It's kind of foolish to think that you can just go into something, not saying that you're foolish, just I've been there too, but it's foolish to go into any type of industry or any type of market and have no idea of what's happening and think that you can make a good amount of money or long-term generational wealth, okay? Next thing is know your customer, right? Anybody who's been a part of these webinars, who've watched my videos, who've done one-on-one with me, you know how much I push understanding your customer, or in our case, more specifically our guests. And if you don't know your market, you don't know your customer, you 100% will not be able to, I shouldn't say 100%, you 99.9% won't be able to replicate what I'm about to show you. And then the last one is if you don't happen to have those, right? For example, me, I'm going to Utah, Texas. I've lived in Texas, but I don't know it like how I know the Pacific Northwest, is that I am partnering up with experts or I am bringing on business partners who are experts in that area that can quickly catch me up to speed. And I also fly out there and I do my own market research. So work with an industry professional, an appraiser, real estate agent, multiple real estate agents, whatever it may be, before we get into this. Now, this is a lot of precursor, okay? We'll get into fun stuff here in a little bit. The next thing is make sure that you run the numbers and you use the numbers to prove yourself either correct or incorrect. We have to be very unbiased here. And you'll understand what I'm getting at when we get into the numbers here. And make sure that you have an expert, whether that's your business partner who lives in the area or understands the market, it's your appraiser, it's your real estate agent, whomever it is, provide you evidence before you jump into something and you drop several tens of thousands of dollars or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, okay? I have had both the privilege and the unfortunate event of but working with certain students and clients who came to me after they purchased property. And this was, or after they went under contract and already put money in escrow. And only to come that they didn't do what I'm telling you. And they were out several tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Please don't be in that situation. Okay. Now, again, a lot of precursors here because, again, I don't want you guys walking around with this hammer and think the whole world is a nail or there's a bunch of nails. There's a big elephant in the room. Everything that I'm teaching you, everything that my channel's about, Raw Build, everything that you see about my friend Cass in Florida, and almost everything on YouTube, I'm going to share this with you, is that there is no get-rich-quick scheme. This is definitely not a get-rich-quick scheme. You can definitely be wealthy. You can definitely be rich, and you can be financially free. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme, okay? So I think we had somebody come into the chat yesterday asking if I was scheming or if this was like some sort of internet YouTube scheme. It's not. I show it to you guys. I'm very transparent. But I'm telling you, I make a lot of money off of the knowledge and the experience that I am sharing with you. But this is not something that just happens overnight because you will it to, okay? You can definitely 100% make 6 to 7 figures with the techniques and everything that I'm sharing with you, 100%. Talk to any real estate person and they will, who knows what they're doing and have replicated or made good money in real estate. And when they look at this and read it over, like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Where the disconnect is that people don't often want to put the money or time to make 6 or 7 figures. It's a very strange thing. And I'm not quite sure why that is yet. I'm still trying to figure it out, the psychology behind it, but it does take time and it does take money to make a lot of money, okay? It's not like you put in $10 and you make $100,000 tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. Even penny stocks, most people will lose more money in penny stocks and day trading than they'll ever make, okay? Good example, good friend of mine made $250,000 last year during the big, spike in the record. Lost more than that within probably 4 months. So not a good time for him. But anyways, and I know everyone in this webinar, or most folks in this are probably already students of the program and signed up, but there are some of you out there right now who are not. And I know you're watching this right now. And I want you to consider this, that even if you're watching this for the very first time. And you know what? I did have this whole thing I was going to say is just be mindful of where you put your money and understanding that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme or is not a get-rich-quick scheme. And so if you're really serious about analyzing deals, getting into real estate is one of those places where you need money to play, okay? You don't always need a lot. You don't need millions. You maybe not even need hundreds of thousands, but you definitely need money. And if you don't have a lot of money, you need time, or you need to buy somebody else's time. And with that said, the reason why, and we'll talk more about this too, about the payment plan, is the reason why I had a hard time doing it is because if you honestly don't have $2,500 right now to get into a program that I absolutely, again, very biased, is way more worth it than $2,500, you probably don't have enough money or cash flow to get into real estate right now. But that's not the point of the program. The point of the program is to pass on knowledge and skill sets. So that's why I'm reconsidering it. And so most of you folks out there who don't want to spend that money, I understand it. I've been in that position. But I can tell you that if you're not willing to spend $2,500 on a program, I'm either not doing a good job of explaining myself or selling myself. But at the end of the day, you're going to have a really hard time putting $50,000 into a project to make $200,000. That's not a guarantee. And you for sure won't put $500,000 into a project that may give you $2 million. So with that said, keep that in mind because the numbers I'm showing you are real, but they don't mean anything if you can't or won't invest the time or money into it, okay? Okay, I'm stepping off my soapbox now. I probably lost a couple of viewers. I honestly can't see anything, so I hope that you're still sticking around. Let's get into the training. Just want to be super clear with all that. All right, so the fastest way, it's actually 2 parts, all right? As always, this is nothing new, but I'm gonna show you or tell you how to do it, is through equity, okay? Equity, we talked about yesterday, is a double-edged sword where I can create instant equity and then also you get that appreciating value, right? Average around across the United States, MON in Australia might be a little bit different. You gotta tell me, actually write in the comment section or the chat window, let me know what it is. But in the United States, real estate increases at an average around major metropolitan cities between 3 to 6% year over year, okay? Obviously right now we're at like, my area is like 20 or 25%, maybe even more. I saw some places that are literally doubled. Literally, they bought it for $300,000 last year and they're now selling it for $600,000, okay? Like several homes. So it might be even 100% up. Overall, the broad scale of things, 3 to 6%. I take advantage of that. And there's a couple of ways of doing this. You either remodel or you expand, or you do both. Okay. Now expand is the easiest to calculate because you can determine what the average price per square foot is going into a neighborhood or market. My area right now is right around $275, $300 a square foot, depending on the type of home, the property size, and then obviously the quality. And then you multiply that by the new square footage that you're planning to put on. So very rough math, right? You put on 1,000 square foot, it's $300 a square foot to sell. That's $300,000 that you could potentially make. And if that's greater than the cost per square foot that it costs you to build, did I ever say that? Yeah. If it's greater than the cost per square foot, then you'll make a profit. So typically I know when I build things myself, and typically when the market, lumber, metal, concrete, all that stuff is relatively stable, I usually can build around $70 to $80 a square foot. Ish, okay, depending on what I'm building. But usually that's my range. And so if I can build something in that range, and I can sell it for $300,000, that's a whole lot of equity in there, okay? Now, even if I hire it out, typically, whenever I hire something out, you usually have to double or triple the overall cost. So if I know it costs me, say, $70 a square foot to build myself, and then I hand it off to somebody else, labor-wise, it's gonna cost me between $140, $150 a square foot up to $210 a square foot, okay? There's still a margin there, but it's not as big, okay? Now that's one way of doing it, is through remodeling or in this case, expanding. Sorry, not remodeling it. We're talking about expanding. The harder calculation is on the remodeling side. That's why you need to do the deep research and understand the area that you're working in, and then work with experts to do this. Because I can tell you right now, you could spend $25,000 on remodeling a kitchen and you can lose money, because you don't understand the market, you don't understand your customer, and you don't understand how the market works or the resale value of that kitchen, right? Something as simple as putting in granite countertops, right? You could spend a ton of money on granite countertops, but if you don't understand that your entire market has moved past granite countertops and now are putting in marble or quartz, right? Or wood, you might miss that train and you might overanalyze, or I'm sorry, not overanalyze, but overcalculate or estimate how much your kitchen is actually worth, okay? So it's very important to understand all those moving parts before you put money into it. And if you don't have that knowledge or that skill set yet, and experience, right, those three things, you work with somebody who knows it. And typically these are the real estate agents, or even if you want to pay somebody to be an appraiser. This is all stuff that I do way ahead of time. I don't wait till I buy the house and I have models and plans drawn up and then I hire or work with a real estate agent. I do it way before. I have plans in place. I have a typical idea. I'm either going to do this type of kitchen, use this type of flooring, or do this and that, and then I implement it based on the home or the project that I'm stepping into, okay? With that said, but when it comes to either expanding or remodeling on the equity side, there's two ways of approaching it, which we just touched on. DIY, do it yourself, or you hire it out. Now there's a couple of nuances here. The pros of when you do it yourself is you save a lot of money. General rule of thumb, construction folks, guys and gals in the room right now, correct me if I'm wrong, yay, nay, thumbs up, is typically whatever your materials costs are, you need to double to triple it, sometimes quadruple it, depending on the project at hand, okay? So something a little bit simpler, like maybe digging holes and putting a footing in there for like a deck or something, maybe double the cost, right? Nothing super crazy, super difficult. When you go to like plumbing, electrical, HVAC, you can multiply it by 4 to 5 to 6 times. The cost of materials will typically cost, maybe not HVAC, I take that back. HVAC is probably 2 to 3 times. Plumbing and electrical though, there's a heavy premium on that, like 4 to 5 times. Like literally to run plumbing and electrical in this entire house in 2015, 2016 was probably $4,000. I got quoted almost, I think it was just under $30,000 for including the labor. So you save a lot of money. You also have way more control over what it is. I cannot emphasize this enough, is when you bring in subcontractors or even builders, you don't have a lot of control. And you learn this, or I learned this after I had to manage a bunch of subcontractors, is they cut corners. Maybe not the general, maybe not the project manager, but the subs, the laborers will cut corners. And I've had laborers had to rip down and tear stuff out because I didn't approve of it, because they didn't run it by me before they started covering stuff up. And when I showed up, I knew they were doing it wrong. But when you're doing it yourself, you know exactly how well you like it, but we'll get into the downside of that too. And then also when you do it yourself is you can be super custom, right? The way that you want your roofing to be done, the way that you overlap siding or however you want to do it. A lot of subcontractors, they're in there to get in and get out, okay? And they might have a certain way of doing it. Oh no, this is what we've been doing for the last 15 years. Yeah, you're doing it wrong. That's cool. I don't want you to do it that way. They don't know your way. And so you will stumble across that. So you want to make sure that you have that knowledge or you have that skills, the skills to either educate them or for you to do it yourself. So, but when you hire it out, the pros of it is that most of the times, if you pick a good professional company, you will have pro level quality. I'm not the greatest deck builder. I can build decks, 100%. I'm not the best. I give myself maybe a B to B minus. I just hired my buddies to help me build that deck. And if you guys watch or see my Instagram, that new deck that I just built for the shipping container, I helped, but they did an A+ job. It cost me A plus money, but they did an A+ job. So the pro level is there, and that's really, really important, especially when it comes to foundation or framing or something like that. When you hire it out, it will be faster as well. A lot of times, unless you have a good crew or people that are willing to help you, usually professional folks will probably beat you by a magnitude of 4 times, 3 to 4 times faster than what you can do it. And then obviously there's a warranty. It's really, really nice. Now obviously I have sweetheart deals because these are my friends or people that I've worked with a couple or several times, is that they back up all the labor, and a lot of times they back up the materials too. So if something did go wrong or something happened, I can just make a phone call and they come out and they fix it. Whereas when you DIY it, you gotta do that yourself, which I have to do sometimes. Okay, but what are the cons though? The cons for DIY is that it's slow. Like I was alluding to before, whatever you think that it takes you to do it, multiply it by 3. If you're brand new, multiply it by 4. Okay? If you're relatively good and experienced, multiply it by 2. Okay? Until you get to a point where you're very consistent, you know what you can do and what you're capable of. Also the quality. Now, depending on how well and how slow, meticulous you are, the quality can be kind of hit or miss. And that kind of bleeds into the third one, which is that sometimes you just don't know. If it's not your profession, you don't know all the tricks of how to do stuff. So I did all my metal roofs. And I'm proficient at it. I'm decent at it. And then I was helping my metal roofer do the shipping container one. And he was showing me all these crazy cool tricks on how to cut the sheet metal and tie them together and then overlap them. And it's almost like artwork or origami watching him cut and fold metal. And I was like, there's no way for me to figure that out. I'm sure I could have dug into YouTube and found some videos on it. But his just came from 27 years of experience of doing metal roofs, whereas I've done a small handful over the last 4 or 5 years. And so it's not knowing all the tricks when it comes to DIY. Now with hiring, very expensive. Right now, it is very expensive if you can get something, right? So a lot of people are interested in Joshua Tree. Good luck finding a good builder or good subcontractors right now. And if you can, be ready to pay a massive premium to work with them or have them work for you. And with that said, especially in hot markets right now, you'll notice this, that during every recession, all the bad or the low level subcontractors, they leave the market. And then during the hot sessions, like right now, a lot of people come back in because everybody wants to work. Everybody wants their job or their project to get done. And so that extra money brings in old subcontractors or builders or whomever. And it's hit or miss. Sometimes you get somebody really high quality. Other times you get somebody very low quality and it becomes a nightmare to work with. And so for somebody who's relatively new to the scene, it can be difficult to find subcontractors, which is something that we talk about inside the program, is how to find and basically vet them to make sure that you get the right one. And the last one is scheduling conflicts. This is just something that you cannot get past. Like today, actually, I was out working with one of my guys on the shipping container, and he has another big project coming up, and we didn't plan things accordingly, or I didn't plan things accordingly, and I basically don't have him for 30 days. And then same thing with my other crew that I normally use for all of my framing stuff, is that they have several other projects going on that they're all trying to navigate. And I'm not the center of their world. I want to be the center of their world, but I'm not, which is sucky sometimes. So when you deal with that sometimes, and when you're doing this, when you're doing a remodel, you're trying to get to break even, or you're trying to produce cash flows, and your framer doesn't show up, or your electrician is caught behind schedule because something came up with permits on another project, guess who's behind schedule now? You are. Because usually you can't move on to the next phase until your sub or your builder or whomever finishes up step 3 before you go to step 4. You know what I'm saying? Whereas when you're DIY, you know the schedule a lot more intimately, and it's your fault. It's not the somebody else's project's fault for not doing the right things first. That makes sense. So those are the pros and cons between the two. Let's talk a little bit more about the payout, or the return, not the payout. So when you do DIY, you can typically expect a 2x to 3x plus return. I know that looks like a weird algebra problem. It's not. It's not 2x minus 3x plus something. It's 2x, like 2 times the money that you put in. So if you put in $1,000, you'll get usually $2,000 out, or maybe $3,000 out. You do a good enough job, you know how to design well. That's the part of construction too, is also know how to design, or bring in a designer. You can legit make 4, 5, even 6x, okay? And then when you hire it out, you can actually lose money. It can be actually lower than 0.5. I've seen people lose probably 60 to 70% because they did the wrong thing, or they hired the wrong subcontractor, or they had scope creep, which is basically you keep tacking things on that don't really matter or add value to the home, and then your original budget of $20,000 balloons up to $35,000, and then you only added maybe $10,000 of true value to the home. And so you gotta be very careful with that. But in the best case scenario, or the usually good case scenarios, you can hire a good crew that's efficient, you get a decent price, and you can make between maybe like a 1.5 to maybe even 2x, depending if it's the right project. But you can see that it's usually significantly less than if you DIY'd it, right? So it's money or time. Those are always the 2 factors here. Now jumping over to looking at what are the best ways of generating this equity, okay? Remember, I said 2 parts in the beginning. I'm gonna tie them together here in a second. There's the equity side, the remodel, the rehab, or the expansion side, and then there's the cash flow side. So let's look at one first. So let's look at this here where we do a DIY, and these are probably the best places to start. Siding, kitchen, bath, floors, windows and doors, and then a roof. And then these are the DIY prices. Now this is why I spent like 5 minutes giving that caveat at the very beginning, the disclaimer, is because these numbers are my numbers in my area. These numbers look very different if you're in California, or if you're in Idaho, or if you're in New York. Okay, you have to understand your market and understand your numbers. Don't go out there thinking that you can go put a metal roof on for maybe $10,000 in Alabama and then it's gonna give you $30,000 return. It doesn't work that way. It's different markets. But typically speaking, broad strokes here are the best bangs for the buck, okay? So when you do this, you can quickly see that if you DIY, let's say that we did this all, let's say that you had this massive project and you were gonna do this all by yourself, okay? Or maybe with your partner, your husband, your wife, whomever, and it would cost you probably around the $35,000 to $40,000 range, okay? So not too bad for all of that to be done. And then what that does, if you jump over to the value, that $35,000, $40,000 could generate you in the $140,000 worth of range in equity, right? Same thing, so when we switch over to hiring, you can quickly see that it's almost, 2.5, almost 3 times more expensive. And you can quickly do, if you do some really rough math, you can see that the labor is typically significantly more than the material cost. So again, usually about 2 to 3 times more. And so when you look at that, you see that margin, that equity gets squeezed down a little bit, and those exact numbers is the DIY, you generated over $100,000 in equity, instant equity like that. And then you can draw on that using a HELOC, you can refinance, there's a bunch of other options that we can do to recoup that money so we can use it in other fashions. And that's another strategic thing that we talk in the program of how to expand and then recoup or realize that money and then be able to implement it again. And then you can see when you hire it out, which may seem like a good idea, and it's actually a good idea sometimes too, is that you make significantly less money. And so for some folks out there who are well established financially right now, it might not be worth that $50,000 for you. I can tell you for a lot of folks, especially myself, when I first started out and I didn't have a lot of money, that $50,000 meant a lot. That $50,000 meant that I could not have to work for a whole year and I could focus on my business, or if I needed a new car or down payment for next property, whatever it is, that's a lot, that $50,000. Because remember, when we start talking about cash, this is cash outlay. Usually for $50,000, after taxes and Social Security and all that stuff, you actually need to make like $80,000, maybe $90,000, depending where you live. So it's not just $50,000 cash. That's a lot of money. So it's all kind of hit or miss here, or not hit or miss, but it's all dependent on who you are and where you are at in your financial journey. So there's your 100,000. But let's say that, you want to do a mix. You maybe want to do some stuff that's a little bit easier for yourself, but then some things you're like, dude, I'm not touching electrical. I'm not putting in windows. By the way, windows are not that difficult to put in. If you guys watch a couple of YouTube videos, you 100% can do it yourself. I had the same thoughts. But with that said, let's say that you want to do a hybrid model. Let's even go like very super conservative. And let's say that you did like what my spreadsheet just showed you, and you only create an equity, like say $40,000. Let's say $40,000, $50,000, that range, okay? So we take the low end of this. When you do it, it's going to be, like I said, very highly dependent on the quality and overall design, style, and then of course the market that we're located in. And then we're going to take that $40,000, $50,000 here in a second. Is that we want to be careful that we don't do things that ends up looking something like this, which seems cool to a lot of folks, right? It'd be a great Airbnb. This is a $2 million shipping container home that's being sold right now. You can see that was overly designed to be a very personal place. And it's a hodgepodge of very different materials, colors, design choices, and even in this hot market, it's still sitting there for almost 3 months now. And it actually looks pretty cool, but for $2 million, there's a lot of other options that are a little bit more neutral or a little bit more muted, which is actually what a lot of folks want to. And then instead of paying a super premium on something like this that's super personalized. So you want to be careful when we're looking and thinking about the decor. That's why I put this in. I forgot I put this one in. Caught me by surprise. But all right, so moving on with the equity that we just created, that $40,000 to $50,000. Now we get into the second part, okay? If we couldn't hit that $100,000 mark with just the equity, let's lean on cash flow a little bit. Cash flow can get up running really, really fast, or you can tag team it, right? You build equity and cash flow, okay? So when you're done, let's say like what I do with my house here, my project here, when I was done, boom, 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 I had I think at the time, maybe $500,000 in equity, and then immediately started spitting off $40,000 in, that's not cash flow, $40,000 in revenues, and roughly about 32,000, I think, 31,000 in cash flows. All right, immediately like that. So you can play that game too. Now, when we do this, there's a couple of different ways, and we're going to focus on just one way right now, which is the rental side of stuff, okay? Because that's more of my specialty, but also it's what you folks are most interested in. But there's several other different ways of land hacking, and we talk about those strategies in the program. So whether it's a basement, it's a secondary tiny site that's somewhere on the property, or it's something like a guest house, an ADU, or a cabin. And these are typically very conservatively the rates that you could probably do, again, dependent on your market. Do your market research. 50 days or $50 a night for a basement, spare bedroom, and then you can go up to $100 a day. Actually, you can go up way higher than $100. You can probably do $200, $300, $400 a day if you have a cool enough site. But let's say $100 a day for like a tiny A-frame cabin or something like that, even a tent. And then you can do up to like $150, $250 I've seen on really cool guest houses or cabins on your property. What does this do for our race towards 100K? Well, if we assume that we have an 80% occupancy, average that year round, and if you've done your market research correctly, you did the golden triangle, you ran your numbers, you should be able to hit 80% pretty consistently. And that's going to generate from the spare bedroom basically pays most, if not all, of your mortgage, okay? It's probably in most cases going to be most between 60 to 80% of your mortgage is going to get paid by just that spare bedroom or like the extra space that you have. Once you start going into the tiny site, the smaller site, away from the main house, you're making close to $30,000. in gross revenue. That for sure handles your mortgage. Okay. Now you take that, you multiply, or you add that onto your your equity that you built. You're almost at 100K in less than 12 months. And then with the ADU or the cabin or the guest house that you built out, this is the twofer, right? Not only did you generate, let's say that you built like, what's the standard ADU size? Like 600 square feet. So let's say that 300, so that's 180,000, right? So you built an equity of 180,000, take away, let's say that you spent half of that to build it. Let's say that you paid somebody $150 a square foot, so that's 90,000. And now you're going to be generating over $40,000 in revenue. You're well over the six-figure mark. Okay. So all of these are parts and pieces of the strategy. Now you can start to see where we're talking a lot about the rehab, we're talking about remodeling, we're talking about expanding and building from scratch. But if you have the right eye and you're looking in the right markets and you see a place that already has a guest house or has a beat up cabin or has a detached garage or a second level or a detached, or not detached basement, but like a basement that has its own separate entrance, you can start piecing this together and figuring out what's the best use of your money and how much equity can you build and then how much cash flows or how many cash flows you can create. That's how I look at all of my projects whenever I look at property. And right now I'm in the process of finding another piece of property to actually purchase. And when I'm looking at them, this is the exact lens that I look through. And obviously there's a lot more, there's a lot of other steps that I go through, but this is what I'm trying to do. This is always what I do. And then to be completely honest and transparent to you, I say this to a lot of my clients, is that I'm always, whenever I go into the project, it's how fast or how many, this doesn't sound right, how many hundreds of thousands, like how many hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity can I create? I don't play in like the 20,000, 50,000, 60,000. I go in and it's like, okay, I can make $250,000 just in equity in the next 12 months. And then I got cash flows. Okay, I can make 400,000 if I do this. Oh, I need to rebuild that because that, like, there's a house over here that just burnt down. I love that. Foundation is there. Utilities are there. I'll clean up the fire site. That's going to cost me $30,000, $40,000, but then I can rebuild the way that I want it. And I know that prices here are at $300+ a square foot, and I can build for between $80 to $100 a square foot. Boom, right? I know I can generate probably $500,000 or close to $500,000 in equity if I decide to take on that project, not including all of the cash flows. Now that's going to be a little bit bigger project, clean up the fire mess. So that's just an example. But hopefully that makes sense. If you guys have any questions throughout all this, again, anybody who's still in here or just trickled in or just came in, I can't see the chat window. So throw your questions. If you're on Zoom, throw in the Q&A. If you're on YouTube, just type it in. And as soon as I wrap up this training, I'll jump in and I will answer your questions for you. Okay. All right. So with that all said, most of you are already students in here, but I'm going to do this too for folks who are still interested. Last 2 days to get into it. Okay. I can't push this enough in the sense that this blueprint is something that I created because of working with over 300, almost said 300,000, 300 different students and clients over the last 5 months, 6 months. And I built it for them based off their questions, based off their concerns, based on what they were actively going through as they were searching out properties and then buying properties and then converting them or land hacking them. And then I took all that information, all those questions, and I funneled it through my lens of how I look at things. And I was trying to create something that I could give to a younger version of myself. And this is it. I know it looks really simple, but we do deep dives into it. And essentially what I did and what I'm doing here is that these 6 steps or these 6 categories of the blueprint is basically my crash course, MBA level crash course into real estate and property hacking or land hacking. And so what you get from it, from the folks who are still interested, if you guys haven't heard this before, is that one of the biggest things I'm really proud of is that the community that we've built here, the folks right now that are in the chat, the people that keep coming to these webinars, the folks that are emailing me, is that there is an amazing community around here, okay? Some folks are just starting off. Some folks are trying to transition away from their jobs or from a different industry. And then we've got folks who are well-established, who are transitioning into another thing or wanting to add to their portfolio or to replace their income. No matter what it is, it's folks who are interested, who are smart, who are quick, and who are honestly just really good people. And so it's a great community to build off of and to really understand and you want to be a part of if you want to get into real estate. Also, on top of that, I am going to be the lead or the host of this, so you will get me in weekly group coaching, weekly office hours, and then obviously PDFs, spreadsheets, and guides. What you just saw, those very extremely basic, on a scale of 1 to 10, on 10 on complexity and depth, you'll probably get a couple of 8, 9s, and 10s inside the program. That was a 1 on the complexity of the spreadsheets and how we run numbers. And you'll get that, and I'll train you on how to use it. And then obviously Batch Leads. If you guys want to go to Batch Leads, go batchleads.io/Kai. It's a zoning and land search app that I use, and then we talked about that on Monday, but we'll be diving way deeper into that, and then I'll be bringing in a trained professional to show you how we use that to search for property. And then, of course, you get the 6-week live Land Hacker program, which is over 24 hours with me where I lead the instructions, okay? I don't know very many other programs or courses that actually has the instructor live. It's all usually pre-recorded, and this is going to be live with me. So how I'm discussing training this to you right now, the last 30 minutes, is basically what the program is going to look like, and then we have Q&A, and then we have group coaching and all that good stuff too. And so it's a great way to actually get mentored and coached by me in several different facets. Because guess what? If you raise your hand and you ask me a question inside the class, which is going to be way smaller than what's going on right now, I'm going to bake that into the next module or the next class. So it's not just, I'm not working in an isolated place where I'm just writing things down and just going to teach it to you. I'm going to have my outline, I have my syllabus on how I'm going to teach it. And then as questions come up and I see patterns and trends and you have a really good question, and most of you honestly do, is that I'm going to use that to build it into the module or section so you get your question answered at a very high level. Not high level like I brush upon it, but high level in terms of a deeper dive from somebody who's seen it, experienced it, and done it. And then on top of that, of course, it doesn't really mean much if you have this great piece of property, but you don't understand how to list it and design it appropriately for the Airbnb algorithm and to be successful. And honestly, I can set you up and help you build equity, help you put together a strategy. If you don't know how to use Airbnb, I know it sounds and looks simple. 80% of people on Airbnb right now, I could rip them apart just because of how they set up their listings and how Airbnb is changing their algorithm as we speak. They're not going to take advantage of it. And as more people come into this industry, people are going to start losing a lot of traction. But I'll tell you how I and some others are not losing traction and how we're actually going to profit and benefit off of it. And that's going to be in this program. Okay, so promo code. If anybody, this is only for the webinar. So other folks who aren't in this webinar, they cannot take advantage of this, okay? If you're in this webinar right now, you haven't signed up yet, if you go to my website, kaiandrew.com, and you click on the Land Hacker program and you go to checkout, type in group special, and then you, at the end of the program, you get an extra group consultation, a strategy consultation, okay? Now, for everybody who's been waiting for the payment plan, you guys wore me down. All right, so, and then we'll jump into Q&A here for folks who already are in the program, but you might want to listen to this too. So anybody who wants to be a part of this program, I obviously want you to be a part of it, okay? But I understand that some people are in different financial situations, and my whole theory, or not theory, but my thought process behind it is I never wanted anybody to feel like they had to stretch themselves financially or put themselves in a bad financial spot just to get in the program. And my original thought process is that if you can't get into the program, you most likely can't start land hacking or get into real estate. You just don't have enough capital yet, okay? And so when you get enough capital, you can get into it. However, it's really not counterproductive, but it goes against my overall mindset of always continually growing your knowledge base and your skill sets. And I see that as my program. My program is not like, hey, you can only benefit from it right now, so buy it now. That's not it. My program is designed to give you the skill sets so you can continue to grow those muscles and build your experience and your skills throughout time. So when you are in a better mindset, I did that you can execute and you can pull the trigger real fast. And it was a little bit silly of me to, I didn't want to not include folks, but like to not give those folks a chance to make the decision to join the program through a payment program. And so I am offering a payment program. I'm gonna put a link here up very shortly. Actually, make sure I copy and paste this so I can give it to you guys. There's a couple things though with it. So it's going to be 3 payments. The normal price right now is $24.47. This payment is going to be 3 payments of $8.99 or just under $2,700. So because of that, you don't have to put all of it up front, but you will be paying more in the long run. And so for anybody who actually already purchased this, you can be a part of the payment program too, but you don't get the discounts that everybody else already got. Okay, so you do have to relinquish the discounts and the special offers from if you join the webinar, or you got the early bird special, or you got anything like that. You do have to relinquish those if you go into the payment program, because that was set up for folks who got in early and paid the full amount. It's part of the benefit of being able to kind of put it all up front and they got in early. So those folks who have that already, you're safe. Nothing changes for you. So if you do want to go into the payment plan, let me know. You will be paying more, and then you also will lose the whatever discount codes or coupon codes that you were able to receive. So I think this is a win-win. Okay, so folks who want to be a part of the program now, you can get in. It's going to be 3 payments, $8.99. And then for anybody who wants to switch, email me. Be patient with me if I don't respond right away. There will be a lot of emails. But for folks who are, you've already got the good discount, you've already got set up with consultation, all that good stuff, you don't have to worry about this. All right, so I can't see the chat window, so I'm sure there's a lot of questions in there. I'm going to post this link, and so you guys are more than able to jump in. All right, so I'm gonna put this in the chat window, but let me switch this back over real fast. Stop sharing my screen, just jump in the chat. What's up, everybody? We've got a full room in here. Excellent. Okay. So there's that, and then YouTubers, there's the payment plan. Okay, so let's do Q&A. Let me just go through here and see if anybody has any questions about the program. All right. Sorry, you guys wrote a lot. I'm glad. I'm just trying to go through all of this. Okay. Jonas, welcome. Oh, shoot, I should make sure. Welcome, Jonas. Excellent. Okay. Glad to have you on board. Katrina, hello. Brady, what's up? Build Life, hello. Joseph, Santana. I love that name. Some of you have really cool names. What's up, Dexter? All right, I'm gonna start with, let's see, I started with YouTube last time. I'm sorry, I think I started with YouTube the last 2 times. I'm gonna go to Zoom for the first, just go through the Q&A, and then we'll jump back and forth, and then as you guys, yes, Cena, if you can do it all up front, it's still $24.47, correct. Make sure you do the group special coupon so you get into the group, coaching at the end too, because if you don't do that, you won't get that at the end. All right, Q&A. Sheila. I'm gonna move this over here so I can look at you guys. Can you discuss equity from non-traditional structures such as container homes, PVC domes, aircrete domes on foundation with plumbing and electric? Great question, Sheila. So, how do I put this? This becomes more of the art behind real estate. It can be a little bit of the science too, and this is where you really want to understand an area. So, like I said, I was born and raised in my area. I've lived in this area my whole life. I've invested in this area. And so I know how my container homes work. I also know that it doesn't please a lot of people, but for the folks that it does please, that's such a weird word to put, but I know that I'm building equity, okay? I'm not building I saw this one dome home that was built out of clay like in 1970s, literally clay, and it just looked like a witch hut kind of. And it was in a really nice area of this town, but it was in this neighborhood and it was just very, very ugly. It wasn't taste. It sat on the market forever. It kept dropping in price because they didn't think about the market that they had to resell it. So you can run into the same issue if you do like aircrete or a PVC dome or something like that, or container home. But let's say that you have like beautiful acreage and you have a really nice main structure and you have a beautiful barn and you have beautiful shop, garage, landscapes beautiful, and then off on the corner of the property overlooking the view on a bluff overlooking the pond, you have a beautiful dome home that's all set up, permitted, and you'll create good equity with that, okay? Because you're wrapping it all into one. But when you do this like this hodgepodge of stuff, it's kind of my new hot word of the day, hodgepodge, it hurts the equity a bit. Okay, so the best way to create equity, just a general rule of thumb, is to get something permitted. Make sure it's zoned first, obviously. You can't get permits without it. But once you get it permitted and you do it up to building code and you do it right, you automatically create equity. But you just want to make sure that you understand who your market base is. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Brian Zavistowski. I'm hoping to DIY a good amount of our new construction house hack. Awesome. But the challenging I'm finding is that framing crews don't really exist in my area on their own. It's only GC builders that have framing crews on staff and they want to GC the whole project. Thoughts on how to approach this? Yeah, framing crews are 100% out there. They just might not advertise as framing crews, and honestly most of the framing crews, if you're near a big area, they're probably booked up right now. That's probably why. And of course GCs and builders are going to want you to do to be part of it. And a lot of times those GC and builders, they sign contracts or pull in those framing crews to work with them because they can promise them like dozens of projects basically. I'd say keep digging, man. If you can do it, dig, Google, call, and just try to connect. Remember, one big thing that I can't emphasize this enough is professional and polite. Even in this industry of construction, permits, and fees, kill them with kindness, be overly polite, be overly professional, and you'll eventually get the answer, especially when people are rude and short to you. It's the world of construction. And so the best thing is if it's truly the case where there's not a crew anywhere, yeah, I don't know. You might have to work with a builder and give them a certain amount of projects, like maybe the framing and the windows, and then, maybe the exterior. I'm not sure what kind of new construction on our new construction house hack. Yeah, they're probably gonna want the whole project though, to tell you the truth. So yeah, I'd say keep digging deeper, make some phone calls, and you can make phone calls to certain trades. So like I know that usually in my area, framers also put in windows. So I'd be calling window folks, so like my window supplier, and be like, they have a long list of subcontractors. Her name is Nicole. Hi, Nicole, if you're watching this. I would talk to Nicole. It's like, hey, Nicole, who are your best framers or who are your best window installers? Because the window installers that I know, they're all framers too. And so you might have to play that angle too. Ryan Hinderman. What's up, man? Good to see you in here. How do you recommend learning how to do your own rehabs and construction? Books, videos, do you unpaid internships with contractors? How did you learn? Yeah, all of the above. I literally, when I first started, I slept with 2 books next to my head on building, right? I'd read through it every night, just like the basics of stuff, framing, electrical, and then I don't want to scare you guys off from this, but like I downloaded my county's code book, building code book on electrical, plumbing, and just framing, just anything in general. They had a huge building code book. And whenever I had questions come up, I would always look in there. And then I also had, just through jiu-jitsu, by the way, jiu-jitsu is fantastic. If anybody wants to network, go find a jiu-jitsu gym. You'll find lawyers, contractors, dentists, doctors, heart surgeons, brain surgeons, scientists. You'll find everybody in there, and you have no idea who they are because you're all wearing, you're all trying to choke each other and wearing these gis. But with that said, I got a lot of great contacts through jiu-jitsu. Literally, my framers, my roofer, my plumber, electrician, all of those folks, if they didn't work for me or help me with my projects, I went and asked them. I was like, hey, dude, I was kind of wondering, do I need to do a long sweep here? Or can I use this type of tea? Or, like, what do you do in this situation? I got the toilet here, but my vent's over here. I have another toilet over here. I was always able to ask these questions. And then I would partner it up with YouTube videos. YouTube videos are phenomenal. Just remember, YouTube videos are usually the best ones that I found are up in Canada. There's 2 guys. I forget the name of the channels. One is Vancouver Carpenter, and the other one, I forget. Really good guy, though. But you got to make sure that the way that they teach you something, it'll give you a broad stroke idea of how to do it. Like that's how I learned how to put in windows. And then I had to look at code at how to waterproof the window and how to install it and use the right type of screws or nails and that type of stuff. So that's how I did it. Hopefully that makes sense, Ryan. Varun, what's up? How many hours per week should I expect to spend per Airbnb listing once my systems are up in place? Do you don't website? It depends how robust your system is. That's a good question. I currently spend maybe 30 minutes a week, if that, per site, per door. But sometimes, things come up and it requires like 20 hours that week because you have to replace something or fix something or work with somebody on something. And then for the next year, you don't have to do anything. So it all fluctuates, and it's really depending on the robustness of your system. And we'll talk more about that in the program room because I know that you're going to be a part of that too. So that's a good question. Right now, it's good for some homework is kind of think of every scenario that you can think of and how you have an answer to each one of those, okay? Noah, what's going on, Noah? How much do you typically budget for a typical average tiny site? Obviously, it depends on material costs. Yeah, it very much depends on material costs. It's actually cheaper now, so I think a fair price depending on what you're trying to build. Uh-oh, internet looks like it's slowing down on YouTube. Sorry, folks. It's going to, I hope it doesn't cut you guys off. Scenario that you can think of. YouTube, are you guys still there? Sorry. Hang on, Noah. Let me just make sure that this is... Yeah, my internet, I don't know why it's so slow. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, it's back up. Excellent. I just switched over. Are we still good over on Zoom? Oh, shoot. We lost a bunch of people on YouTube. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, so Noah, how do you typically budget for the typical average site? So it depends on what you're trying to build. So I usually go off of materials, and then if it's something that I want to do, it's obviously just the cost of materials. But as it gets more elaborate or complicated, like you're bringing in framers, you're bringing in foundation guys, you're bringing in electrical, plumbing, all that stuff, obviously that ticks it up. So if you can start off simple, start off small, like either a platform and a safari tent, if you're able to do that in your area, that's obviously the fastest and quickest way. But just because it's the fastest and quickest way, don't forget to also factor in that you need to replace that tent once or twice a year. You need to clean it. You need to take it down. There's a lot of other stuff that you want to factor into, so you're not just thinking like, oh yeah, I just need to put this up. So when you're building stuff out, you also have to think about, I had to do this today with a container, is if you do need to replace something, fix something, don't build it in a way where it's nearly impossible for you to access it, right? So don't build the framing in such a manner where you're not going to be able, it's going to be super hard for you to replace that canvas when you do need to replace it or to clean certain spots because humidity got on there, that type of thing. So I don't know if that really answered your question, Noah, but hopefully it did. Discord server's not set up yet. So everybody who is in the program, I see a lot of questions over here. I'm jumping over to Zoom pretty quickly. Discord will be set up after enrollment period. So it's probably gonna be towards the tail end of next week once everything, the dust settles, and then I'll send out instructions and everything so you guys can all get to meet each other and start working with each other. And then we'll get into the program. All right, I'm jumping back in the chat window here in Zoom. I'm sorry, I've been in Zoom this whole time, but I see that the chat window is going. Michelle LaRue, can you talk about the money back guarantee for your program? Yeah, so how it works, 30-day money back. It starts when the classes start, and you have 30 days. Basically, you have 4 weeks, essentially. And if you don't find value in it, and you don't think that it's going to suit you, whether it's knowledge-wise, it's skills-wise, or just you don't like me as a presenter, you can just send me an email, and I will give you your money back. And it's no questions asked. I'm not going to keep your money. I will ask you though, like, how can I improve, or where did you not find value, so I could either address those things for future courses, or I can make things better for the current students. But yeah, that's how that works. But I've said this a number of times. I don't sell my time. I don't sell any products or anything that I don't truly believe in. I mean, everybody says that, but I for sure know what this program is worth. And I'm going to be completely transparent for the 100 of you that are in here right now. I'm undervaluing this program right now. It's $2,500, okay? I know, and typically how programs work and how courses work is you charge a 10% of the value of the of what they can get or what students can get out of it. And bare minimum in the long run, the average individual, the average student, I know can make $100,000 if they implement the techniques in this, okay? I know that some of you who are out there right now, maybe you're watching this, maybe you're not at this time, my students are going to be making $250,000 to $500,000, okay? So it's 10% of that. If I could give you $500,000, wouldn't you pay me $50,000 right now, right? If I can make you $100,000, wouldn't you give me $10,000? And so right now, the reason why it's priced at the price it is because first, it's my first live program and I'm going to gather information, just how I discounted my consultation rates to gather information. But I also want to work out all the kinks and the bugs of this platform that I'm using for the first time. So that's about the money part. I hope that answered your question, Michelle. Okay. Sam Houston, are all the lessons recorded in case we can't make the live class or want to review the course over and over? Of course. Yes, I don't know any of the other courses. If there's any other course out there that doesn't allow you to watch the recordings, don't buy that. That's really, really bad. Or they give you a short amount of time to watch it, or you have to pay an annual fee. Be very, very cautious about those. But yeah, in this program, it's all live, but it's all gonna be recorded. So you guys can go back and you can watch it at any time. And not only that, but when I do release the pre-recorded program, and if I add new videos, I change anything, and even if I do a fully immersive 10-week land hacker program in the future, that's going to cost $10,000, $12,000, you can get into that for free too. So you're basically buying a lifetime membership into the program once you get into the ground level. And that's just because I'm saying thank you for being a part of the very first founding cohort of the land hacker program. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Sam. Michelle, oh, thanks Christopher for telling her that. Hey Kai, loving these seminars, can't wait to start your program. Dan, I am stoked that you're in it. Michelle, yep. Christopher's in the class. Zena, calling subs in other professions is such a great approach. Yep. What is the coupon code? Randy Bennett. The coupon code is group special, okay? And then if you want to click on the link down below, if you scroll down, Randy, a little bit, or maybe up, I'm sorry. You probably want to scroll. If you scroll up to my last note, that's the link if you want to join the payment program. Okay. Amy, fighting is good marketing. You heard fighting is good marketing? What do you mean fighting? Like we fight with each other? Forming good. Cena, I'm going to get back to your question here in a second. Randy asked, what's the 6-week program schedule? If you take a look on my website, if you want a more detailed one, you can see it just on kaiandrew.com. Click on the Land Hacker program, scroll down a little bit, you'll see it, how it's laid out. But essentially it's 6 weeks, and each week is 2 classes hyper-focused on each one of those sections that I walk you through. So this bullet point that we just did, or I'm sorry, what we just talked about is a bullet point in one of those sections. And so get ready to learn. I know a lot of people talk about brevity and then being very quick and concise inside your videos, which I think is important. But there's just certain things that when you're really trying to build knowledge or skill set, it's just, I can't teach it to you in 10 minutes or 12 minutes. It's gonna be like an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2-hour session to get the concept across. Don't worry, it's not gonna be like boring stuff because this directly relates to you making money. It's not like, algebra, why do I need to know XB plus C? Okay. But yeah, that's a 6-week program, and at the end of the 6 weeks, we got the extra week for the 6-figure Airbnb listing. That's the other one on how to basically build and list and take advantage of the algorithm of Airbnb. And then that last week for anybody who got the group coaching deal is going to get into group coaching, and then that's when we start one-on-one consultations as well. All right, and Noah, oh good here, okay. Cena, how often you use that? All right, I'm gonna start asking, or I'm gonna start answering these. I didn't even think of that. Christopher just brought up that my pricing is kind of like a Kickstarter special. It kind of is, huh? except I'm going to deliver it to you guys in a couple weeks. It doesn't take like 2 years. I've had so many friends buy stuff off Kickstarter and they just wait and it shows up 2 years later, and not 2 years, but like several months, sometimes over a year later, and it just like breaks. All right. Hey, Sean D. I actually have a friend named Sean D. If you're him, hi. Is it a program you plan to run each summer? Currently, I am not. Again, complete transparency. What I'm planning to do is I'm going to use this Land Hacker program that I'm severely discounting right now because I honestly love interacting with you. But to tell you the truth, the folks in this program, you guys feed me with a lot of information too. Like just because I'm teaching you something, there's stuff that's buried up here that's like from 10 years ago that I didn't think of that I'm doing that I just don't know until you ask your question. So as you're asking me questions and I'm teaching you, I'm pulling all that stuff out. I'm putting into slides, content, building my spreadsheets, all that stuff, teaching to you. I'm going to then probably take a lot of the pre-recordings, edit it, add to it, do voiceovers, touch it up, edit it, sound effects, transitions, all that stuff, and then package it into a Land Hacker program, right? Which you'll totally have access to it as well. Next summer though, I'll probably not do another live program. What I'm going to be transitioning into is a true masterminds group. And so this is kind of like for the 100 of you that are still in here, you'll get first glimpse of this. Is I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. Don't ask me about pricing. Don't ask me when I'm going to do it, but I'm going to be transitioning from live programs into basically, depending where you're at in the process, whether you're just beginning, if you're in the middle, you just got a piece of property, or you're towards the tail end, you're actually building a property. Those are three very distinct groups. And you can apply to be part of each of those mastermind groups. So all the folks that are starting off in the very beginning, we're in one group where we can all kind of help each other, and I can lead that charge there. And then folks who are actively just starting with a property under contract, we're going to start and focus there. So everybody in that group is in the same boat. And then obviously folks who are building and getting permits and going through zoning and actually going through the actual build out of the project, I will be there with them too. And actually that group's going to be really good. Not saying that other two groups won't be good, but just because I'm going to be going through hopefully 3 build projects at the same time while that group is going. So we can actively work with one another. So you can learn from me, but you can also learn from each other. That's the plan. That's how I'm going to be doing things live from now on. So this is probably going to be the only live course that I do, but I say that now. I don't know what I'll be doing next summer, so it could change. Okay. All right, glad you got that. Okay, referencing the Jiu-Jitsu networking you were talking about. Oh, okay, no, that makes sense. What happened if I cannot make a class? Randy, it's going to be pre-recorded. You can go and download everything, and then you can jump in either the group coaching session or the group office hours, or sorry, not group office hours, but the office hours, and you can ask me your questions after you rewatch, taking your notes and gone through all that stuff. Just to let you guys know, this is not something that I take lightly in the sense that, hey, just watch these 15 videos, I will be saying like, hey, make sure you research this, read this quick article. Hey, make sure you go and check out these 3 markets first before you attend class. So it's going to be like a real legit thing where you're going to be learning real stuff. If you guys don't know this, my background is in higher education. I have coached, I've consulted, and I've also taught. And so it's not going to be just like hopefully it's not boring. Maybe for some of you it's boring, but when you start attaching real dollar figures to something, I start listening up pretty quickly. Hope that answers. Amy Santana, I was referring to your recommendation to meet contractors, lawyers. Oh, okay, gotcha. So much better than a kick special. Yeah. All right, let me start answering. Sina, I know that you had a question up here about something. What are your thoughts on forming a good relationship with an architect who has a rapport with builders and specialists? Absolutely. That's a brilliant idea. If you can and find an architect in your area, you can definitely do that. Just to give you a heads up though, architects are typically going to be, it's a higher weight class, right? So architects charge a lot of money. They're literally charging $200 to $1,000 an hour. And so they're going to be referring you to the upper end of builders. And they probably don't know very many subcontractors because that's not their forte. But networking in this area, if you're especially in one specific area, 100%, any type of networking, I can't emphasize this enough, and I hated the fact that I was so resistant to it for so long, is that, to be honest, I've made so much money off, that sounds so stupid and arrogant. I've been able to be very fortunate through my networks. because deals just come across the table, or they come out like, hey, can you do this? Hey, can you connect me with this person over here? Or like, hey, I think you two could really work out really well. Or like, hey, I know you do this really well, Kai. Do you want to help us with this? Or it's like, no, call this person. They'll hook you up with a good deal. And then you just start creating this massive spider web, and you just keep adding to it. And then again, the reason why I keep pushing polite and professionalism is that when you're polite and professional, even when others aren't, you build out your spider web. And the bigger your spider web, honestly, the more successful you typically are. And then you always back everything up with results. The only reason why most of you are in here right now or listening to me or signing up for the program is because I show you my results. I show you what I'm doing, and then you see the results that I provide. Now, if I said all this to you, but I was living in, nothing against trailer parks, but I'm on the side of the road or like a really dingy home or something, and I was living paycheck to paycheck and had like $100,000 in debt, you probably wouldn't really trust me as much, right? That's for all you YouTubers out there who are tricking people, teaching them get rich quick schemes. But at the end of the day, if you want to get investors, you want to get business partners, you want to build your network, or create results. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. How often, Sina? How often do you visit sites when there's not an issue? Rarely. I usually have a co-host. Let me see. I'd say I probably do. On average, I do a walkthrough probably myself, average every 60 to 90 days. But if you have a good enough cleaning crew or good enough co-host, they serve as your eyes, whether it's your phone because they're doing, They take photos of the area and they can do FaceTime walkthroughs. I've done that a lot too. So working up with a good team is very, very important. Okay. Let's go through here. I'm glad. A lot of times my mouth goes a lot faster than how my brain works, so I have to. All right, I'm jumping over to YouTube. I'm sorry I ignored you for so long. All right, YouTube. Scroll down here. Okay. Yes, Marlon Manuel. I do have a payment plan. So if you scroll up, or actually, did I put it inside? Yeah, if you scroll up a little bit, you'll be able to see that link. That'll take you to the payment plan, Marlon, if you're still there. All right, Brady, Okay, Brady, I can't answer all of these questions. My goodness. I'll try to answer a couple of them, but let me try to get to some of the other folks that are newer here. John, what's up? Brendan, what's going on? Jake, hello. Jake, how do I pronounce your last name? Vaj? I'm sure you got teased a lot in the locker room, perhaps? Like in football? Hey, Vaj, come over here. Vaj, come here. Okay. Visit. Okay. Everything hippies. Or, I'm sorry. Everything pies. I'm sorry. I thought I said everything hippies. I'm just trying to browse through this to make sure that I got all the questions. Okay. I want to answer some of the newer folks' question. Bro, Brady, blowing up the chat. Okay. Joseph Santana, wait. There are diminishing returns when adding square footage. You can't just add 1,000 square feet and expect 200,000. No, I actually think you can add almost 300,000. It's not diminishing returns. And so you're correct. You're right. You can't just add, a big bare room and add $300,000 to your place. But if you generally add, let's say that you add, you expand on the extra 1,000 square feet, you expand storage space, you add another bedroom, you add another bathroom, and you expand into a kitchen or even to even another dwelling area, 100% you can build $200,000 to $300,000. And guess what? If you do it in California, some really hot spots, you can probably add $500,000 plus to your property value. People buy based off square footage. And so if you had a nice enough home and it was 1,500 square feet, and you added 1,000 square feet and brought it up to 2,500 square feet, and you do it right, like the way I just described it, extra bedroom, extra bathroom, more square footage for storage, and then more kitchen space and living space, 100% you can make six figures off of that equity. Yeah, but yeah, if you just build like a garage, yeah, you're absolutely right. Okay. All right. Even long-term rentals aren't really, but they make good money for your investment. Okay, even long-term rentals aren't really passive, but you make good money for your investment. The ROI on this venture is much higher than buying a house and long-term renting because it's more work. That's correct. Absolutely correct. Brady, okay, I'm answering this question. How do you feel about wedding venues on the same land you're using for glamping? Similar ROIs, more work, not trying to plan or put on the wedding, just provide the location and building. Yeah, weddings will work great. My 267 deal with the farm with my buddies, there's a wedding venue. We're tapping into it. I love that because basically whenever there's a wedding, we know for a fact, just from evidence, that we will be booked out 100% based on the wedding party. And they'll be booked out at a premium too. And so that's really nice. So the ROIs on wedding venues is probably gonna be pretty good. But yeah, typically if you have a legit performing wedding venue, your wedding venue will actually produce more money than your glamping, like a lot more. Oh, Build Life. Okay, cool. So roofing and siding, we charge roughly 3 times the material cost. So there you go. Thanks, Build Life. All right. I love how active you are, Brady. Awesome. What's the highest ROI strategy for land hacking? If you could only choose one land hack? If I could only choose one land hack, it would honestly probably be, assuming that you have the zoning and the views and the property, it would be venue. It would be an event and wedding venue. If I had to only pick one. A close second, if I could have enough glamp sites, I would do glamping. True passive, I'd be growing timber. I'd be doing some sort of farm or renting out land space to vineyards or organic farmers or something like that. Oh, nice, Brady. I didn't know about the coverage. That's cool. All right. Yeah, Brady, if you can find a way to do it. Brady's asking about doing side-by-sides or ATV safely. Yeah, if you can do that and you have, I would say have an SDP, a service delivery plan or a system on when somebody tips it, when they damage it, when they scuff it, when they get it goes into the lake or the water or whatever. Just have a plan ready for that. So, what happens when somebody rolls it over and breaks their leg? I don't know how big your property is, but clearly on the other side, right? How do you get them? How do you get them out of there? And then how do you start that process with your insurance claim and then your lawyers and all that stuff, just to make sure that you're protected? You might not even get sued, but just you want to have all of those systems in place if you're open to doing that. But I agree with you. If that's the lifestyle business that you want to do it, man. Go for it. Sam, how do we access the content if we can't attend the live streams? Also, how long do we have access to the course recordings? Sam, you can access it through Kajabi. Kajabi, you'll get a link and everything to how to get into it. If you can't attend the live streams, don't worry. They're all not pre-recorded, but they're recorded, and then you can rewatch it. And you can watch it as many times as possible, and then you can actually jump into the group coaching and the office hours to kind of get your questions answered and that type of stuff. And then you can obviously email me. Students, you guys will be getting my full attention during the program. Last question, Sam, is you have lifetime access. So now into forever. Okay, GS, I'm at the point where I need to bring in an architect to get CD, but local to get CD. What's CD? Certificate to get CD. I don't know what CD stands for in your area, but local architects are out of my budget. Have you had any luck with Fiverr or any architectural? Be very careful with that. I have not done, I haven't had permitted plans created by Fiverr or Upwork or Freelancer. You want to be careful because architects are usually licensed and designers are by state, and each state has different laws and different codes. And so they might design something that's not up to code in your area, and it causes a lot of revisions, a lot of fixing. And so you just want to make sure, and a lot of times certain counties will require somebody to be stamped in that area. Engineers, 100%. But designers and drafters, you want to make sure that they're in your area just so they understand the nuances of your space. Do you recommend auto messages? Yes, Brady. Absolutely. I love it. I love auto messages. Okay. Chelsea. Hey, Chelsea. Hi. On our 45-acre retreat and sanctuary in Georgia, should we do it under an LLC, or we could create a nonprofit for the sanctuary and use the retreat to fund, or do both? Thank you. I absolutely talk, obviously, this is not legal counsel. I'm not giving you legal or financial advice. Generally speaking, though, you definitely want to create layers of protection. And so you definitely want to talk to a CPA. And protection is against two things. One is taxes, and the second one is liabilities. And so I cannot think of a situation where you would want to put a business under your name, especially a business where you have like 45 acres, dozens, maybe hundreds, maybe thousands of people running around every year, and just asking to trip and fall and hurt themselves and then potentially sue you. You don't want that. Like I give you as an example one of my videos where I'm so lucky that nothing happened, but a certain person has a cool thing and brings other people onto it, and these guests bring their dogs and let them off leash, and some of these dogs just happened to be more of the aggressive type, and they attacked other animals and attacked other people. This happens on your property, and somebody, like a child, gets hurt or severely injured or even dies. You can see how that water falls really, really quickly, and you don't want your name attached to that. Good question though, Chelsea. Yeah, Brady, you can do that. You can definitely go and stay at other people's properties and to get an idea. Awesome, Sam. Welcome. Fantastic. Welcome to the team. I haven't checked my messages yet. Okay. If I visit the construction, all right. Jake is my hubby, and no, I didn't take his last name. Okay, so we got Chelsea and Jake in here, and Jake's last name, I was just teasing him a little bit earlier, is Vaj. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing it right. It's Vaage. And if you guys don't know what that is, I won't educate you guys because of my immaturity. Hey, I've been around locker rooms. Are there any immediate or flags you look for in land hacking properties in terms of permitting issues? Example, you find a scenic property in a nice wood area but no connection to a road. Yeah, I mean, that's one of them. Again, Sam, it depends on the capital that you bring and the experience that you bring. And so if you have very little capital or relatively little capital and you don't have any experience dealing with raw land, I probably would advise to stay away from that. But if you're coming to the table with a substantial amount of money and you've built roadways or you built access ways or you're familiar with getting easements, yeah, that might be a no-brainer, because at the end of the day, what it really comes down to, this is why I was talking at the very beginning, I'm not sure you missed that, Sam, is that if you can't invest $2,500 into your knowledge and skills now, you're not going to invest $50,000 or $500,000 to make $2 million. Right? And so the same thing here. Very few people will be able to invest $50,000 in a driveway because it will give them access to a property that could potentially make them regular 6 figures or even 5 figures each month. And so, yeah, it's just depending on your risk tolerance and then how much capital you have, because obviously if you burn $50,000 on just a driveway, you're going to still need cash to kind of bring in all the other utilities and stuff. Good question. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Jake. It's not Vaj. It's Vosgy. Is it French? Vosgy. Okay. I don't see an O or a U in there though. I'm assuming there's like probably accents over it in your native tongue. Okay, did you ever work a more traditional job? What was it? And at what point in your investing land hacking journey did you quit your prior job? Yeah, actually, I'm trying to think about this. I've always worked for startup companies. I'm trying to think before I say anything else. I've never actually worked a tradition. Actually, I lied. I'm sorry. I did do 2 internships. I did an internship at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. That's where I learned how to sell and work with people. And then I did an engineering internship where I worked on heavy civil construction crew, where I was it's funny to say out loud, but I was the field engineer. Okay. And I was like 19 or 20. It was so silly. It was so dumb. I was like 19, 20-year-old engineer or intern trying to wrangle like 40-year-old laborers and foremen and stuff. So, but I transitioned at 27. And so I went, I worked for about a solid, it was 6 years, right? I think I worked for a solid 5 or 6 years at the startup company. I went and got my MBA, started doing consulting work and then I worked for another startup where I was the interim CFO and finance person and operations guidance guy. And then I got another deal set up with another consulting firm that was going to work with like Nike. I was going to be a part of that project, big project that we're working on. And I said, screw it. I'm going all in on rentals and real estate. And so that was like 27, 28, right around there. Okay. What do you think about a 20-foot container instead of 40? Is it too small, or is it part of the appeal? We'll have a deck out in front. I think it depends on your care on the customer that you're aiming for. There's nothing wrong with a 20-footer. 20-footer is pretty small though to fit everything in it. You're gonna have to get creative. 20-foot. I have 2 20-footers right now. I'm trying to think what you could do. I think that you could probably fit everything in there. It's gonna be very tight. It's only, what is that? That's 20 by 8. So you've got 160 square feet. Yeah, that's doable. There's cabins. My only thought process behind it is that a 40-footer is not that much more expensive and it doubles your space. And you might be able to charge more. And so that's the only thing. I think it's doable though. I think, and then a lot of it has to do with, it's not a lot of it, but, or no, it is a lot of it, is how you set up the outside space. The one thing that I'm learning a lot right now that I'm going through, and this probably will be a future video that I haven't talked a lot about, is the landscaping and how you set up the exterior. And I'm not talking about like hot tubs and like fire pits and stuff. I'm talking about more of the art and the landscape architecture of the outside that surrounds the entire space, including the parking area. I really do believe that people are willing to pay more and experience a space when you actually have legit landscaping around you too. Okay. Brady ask above, but one question. Okay. Brady's asking, how do you do market research for an area that you are first to market in? That is all part of the market analysis. I think there's a free, which YouTube video? You guys help me out. Which YouTube video was it that I talked about the market research and AirDNA and Airbnb and stuff? There's one out there. It's within the last probably 10 videos that touches on it. Dude, that's the bread and butter of this program. That's what I teach you. That's where I keep talking about the MBA stuff. There's I remember that was like a semester. That was a whole class on how to dig into information and then build out the market, build out the analysis, build out the business plan, the numbers and all that stuff. And so it's not a quick answer. I'm using several different sites. I'm using Google Maps, I'm using AirDNA, I'm using Airbnb, I'm using real estate agents, I'm using the zoning map. I'm doing all of this information gathering to create an analysis, and then I push all of that information through my Excel spreadsheets and then my brain, and then I analyze it all, and then we actually come up with legit numbers, and we compare those numbers to one another, and it's like, okay, this is a go, no go, go. This is my risk tolerance, don't like it, so you make real informed decisions off of it. Okay, how much, Chris, did you jump over from Zoom? I thought you were in Zoom, you traitor. How much would you say you've diversified your portfolio between short-term and long-term rentals, or are you all short-term? I have both. And what do I have right now? Well, it's a little bit off right now because we had a couple of longer contracts because of COVID. So it's about a true 50, leaning more towards 60, 40 maybe. Yeah, but I'm getting rid of those. I don't really like long-term rentals. Long-term rentals are, they're really, if you think about it, it's an equity play. I shouldn't say this is dumb because I know there's some long-term rentals out there. For me, it's dumb to do long-term rentals. I don't want $200, $300, $400 a month when I can get $200 a night. Why do I want $200 a month? And the headache, trust me on this, you'll have way more headaches from long-term tenants who don't take care of your property than you will with a nice couple from Seattle who just want a romantic getaway and they're willing to pay you $200 to $300 a night. It's my thoughts. But I know there's a lot of people who are very successful with it. Kudos to them. Good for them. Keep up with it. I'll take the short-term rental market and my equity. Let's see. How would you say short-term? For a lot of questions this week, man. Of course, GS, you're welcome. I've learned a lot just from these nightly chats. Oh, I wish I could chat with you. It'd just be like 1,000 voices or 100 voices in here, so I can't do a true chat. Are you factoring any pullbacks in the economy in your underwriting? Yeah, so absolutely. So a lot of times, Chris, when I look at deals, I either set them up so when the economy tanks, and it will tank, can I still make money? And so in the case with the 267-acre farm, we're going to reach payback within probably 3 months. So unless the economy tanks in that time, we're going to be out maybe a couple tens of thousands of dollars, which to me it sucks, but it's part of the game. But in the long run, though, once I reach payback, obviously I want to make cash flows. Clearly I do. But my worst case scenario is I just make $0. I don't lose any money. When I buy property, the reason why I'm so, like if you watch the full training, I'm emphasizing the equity side is because that's our safety net. All of my properties that I own or that I buy and I purchase, I factor in, and I learned this through the 2008 recession, is I factor in a way to build a crap ton of equity because my safety net is in my worst case scenario is that the entire market would have to drop by like 50 to 70% for me to start losing money, okay? I don't think that event is going to happen again. I could be wrong, but at that point, if the entire real estate market loses between 50 to 70%, we're already in a very, very bad scenario that it's probably like grab your survival bag, grab your guns, and it's time to go like live off the land. So yeah, that's how I curb it. Is I set up deals in a way where it's very favorable equity wise and cash flow wise. So when things go upside down, like 2020. I literally could have sat on my properties into perpetuity. For the rest of my life, I could just sat on them because I could either rent them out and still make money long-term or mid-term, or I could just liquidate them and still make money on it because I had so much equity built up. Sorry, long answer. Yeah, Jeff, I realized you were reading questions here. Oh, okay. Switching back and forth. Okay. All right. I'm going to jump back over to Zoom. I see you guys going up here. All right, Zoom. All right. Oh, you guys are all emailing each other? Now I feel out of the loop. Are you guys seriously? Aw, that makes me so happy. Okay, we'll talk about, maybe, Amy, remind me about that inside one of our sessions, okay? When we open it up in the Discord, remind me about the network, and we'll talk about the networking. Ah, shoot. Okay, see you, Jake. He's probably out. Okay. Let's see, I actually met Jared Katz, who was in the first few webinars. I'm always networking. I come from networking capital, New York. All right. Amy Kaz, right? Okay. Florida, striving to be bi-coastal. Nice. All right, Chris, how much would you say? Oh, okay. Now I do see your questions, Chris. Sorry. I am not near Tampa. I am planning on going to Tampa, though. Oh, Kajabi works on smart TVs? I didn't know that. Thank you. I'm going to use that as a selling point. What's up, John Mosley? All right. Not yet. I have credits all over it. I emailed you. Oh, you guys make my heart sing with all of you connecting with one another. All right. Noah realized Chris's technique. Now everybody's gonna start doing it. Okay. I'm working with those who do long-term renters. Do not. Okay, so Amy is kind of reiterating it. I'm working with investors who do long-term renters. Do not do it. Avoid it at all costs. Yeah. When I do long-term, I always aim for that upper echelon. So I try to aim for the higher end folks. But even then you get a couple, like right now, I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I can legally do something on it right now, but one of the properties I am going through an eviction scenario situation with that we did not want to, is the main reason why we did not want to get into a long-term contract, and we just kind of got roped into it, and then landlord laws and all this stuff, and now we're just stuck in the situation that I knew was going to happen, and now we're in it. So I am very anti long-term. If it spit out and gave me really good returns, I'd put up with it, but the returns are nowhere near what we're talking about right now. Okay. Kevin S. Missed the link. Oh, okay, I'll put the link. Kevin, do you want to go to the payment plan or do you want to go the normal route? Payment plan is a little bit more expensive. All right, so I'm going to put this in here. This is for Kevin. I already forgot my own name. kaiandrew.com/program. So that second leak, Kevin, is... Oh, thanks, Sean. You guys are so nice. You guys keep answering my questions for me. Thank you. All right, Cena, what are your thoughts on SRWs? Have a potential client who might want to do this. SOWs? I don't know what an SRW... Or SRO. SRW. What's an SRO? Short rental operator? Short-term rental operator? I don't know. Tell me what that is, Sienna. So, single room occupancy. Duh. Yeah, give it a shot. Usually this is something that it sounds a little bit sexist. It's like, just be careful if you're a single female, obviously, if you do that. But if it's a safe situation where they have locked doors and they can like separate from them and they vet them, don't just do it through any site like VRBO or any site that doesn't verify guests that don't have their ID. But yeah, it's a great way to get started. It's one of the things that I suggest to a lot of folks that don't have a lot of money and don't have the money to afford to buy like lots of land to have separate living spaces and sites, is to rent out spare bedrooms. But make sure you do it safely, because I've heard a lot of horror stories behind it, and realize that you're gonna be sharing space with a complete stranger. So that's the only thing. Okay. Sheila, yes, Christopher. No, so you can see crazy stuff. Sure, just be careful. Okay. Due diligence. Actually, I believe I noticed him doing it. What quip are you talking about, Noah? I probably say a lot of stuff that I don't remember. Alabama, you can evict someone in less than 30 days with the court. Nice. Oh, gotcha, Noah. Okay, let me jump back over to YouTube. It looks like a little bit quieter now. Okay, there's a couple Q&A on, or a couple questions in the Q&A I'll answer here, but let me just jump over to YouTube real fast. I think there's a couple. Kate, what's going on, Kate? Do you have an opinion on setting up glamping in Illinois or other Midwest states without major getaway destinations? There are not a lot of unique stays here, though. Without major getaway destinations, I'm assuming you're talking about like major attractions. Like if you're talking about my Golden Triangle, I would say if it's your first time, don't do it. Let me take that back. I will never tell an entrepreneur not to do something. I would either highly advise against it or tell you to approach with caution. I'm not going to be that person who's like, yeah, Kai doubted me and told me not to do something, and now I'm multi-billionaire. Screw you, Kai. Like, I'm not going to be that person, okay? So I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just saying being very cautious about that, because if it's your first time, one of the best little like, I don't want to call it a handicap, but one of the best little like booster seats that you can get is being in the Golden Triangle for your first time, because it almost, I shouldn't say guarantees you, but it does give you a really good security blanket, because there's so many things in your favor. When you take that away, what you're then producing is you're 100% producing a destination spot in your area. Like you are creating a space where people are coming to you because of your space. And that requires a very good vision, a lot of designing, usually a lot of construction, and a very good like utilities and space and all that stuff. So if you don't want to be so dependent on having to build out a destination spot like that, I'd say focus on the Golden Triangle and focus to being near major attractions or major cities, or it doesn't have to be major cities, but populous cities. I hope that answers your question. Kate Echo, okay, or Eco. Chris, sorry to beat this topic, but last question on it, I hope. Did you own short-term rentals during the 2009 recession? When I was focused on long-term, we underwrote occupancy against the last recession figures. When I focused on long-term, okay. I did not. I started, well, actually, no. When did I start? I think I started right at the tail end of 2008, 2009 is when I first did my short-term rental. It was literally, I did short-term rentals before Airbnb launched. So I did it on, at that time it was VRBO. And then I got on a HomeAway. Quick fact, for bonus points, I may ask you later on in the program, is my business professor was the chairman of HomeAway. So it was really cool to talk to him and get to learn from him. But anyways, yeah, so I did it before then. But yeah, so I started during the 2009 and I went to now, but at that time it was kind of a back up and an upswing. Yeah, I mean, how does that work out for you, Chris, to underwrite them or the occupancy against the last recession figures? Were they good? Were they bad? What was it? Mine did really well, especially in the summertime. All right, Etorian Hines. You guys have such cool names. Are you planning on glamping in Austin? If so, how hard are the zoning laws to deal with? I am. Not in Austin. Austin will not allow you to do that. But outside of Austin, zoning is, it can be challenging. It can definitely be challenging. But there are ways around it. There's strategies that you can implement. There are things that you can do, something where I call stacking, that we'll talk more about, is how you get around zoning. I shouldn't say get around zoning, is that you work with zoning to get what you want. Okay. Safety. Okay. All right, Varun. If I'm in Colorado and I want to get, I can't believe this time always goes by so fast with you guys. You guys make it so much fun. I can't believe I've already been on almost for 2 hours. Okay. I'm going to answer the last couple questions here. Oh, Chris, cool. Okay, you're in a large syndication, 200 plus apartments. Oh, okay. I got you now. I got you. Haven't lost money. Good. Yeah, my buddy and business partner, he does large syndications and stuff too, like that with apartments. He's building them though. He's building and then holding on to them. They're like 400 plus doors apartment, like massive things, and then like retail stores and all that stuff too. So that's where I understand that. I don't understand that side of the business as much. I only know it through him. So I am not the expert in that. I'll tell you that up front though. But I can tell you it's a business that I'm not familiar with, and it's not as fun to me. And I like to do things that are fun. Okay, sorry, Varun. Varun, am I pronouncing your name right? If I'm in Colorado and I want to get into glamping, would I be better served as starting out with a remote property in another state? Assume I can't move there. Side note, I'm seeing a bunch of forestry zoned land in the mountains, so it may not be that bad. Yeah, Varun, if you can find it and check with your county and make sure there's no crazy short-term rental regulations. Some places just flat out no, and then other places will allow it with a permit. That's relatively easy. So just make sure you double check. By the way, let me see. Okay. Gil, what's going on? I have funds available, but not a good proof of income. Say if I have 50,000 without income proof, can I get in the game? It's going to be tough because typically you need to get into the game. You need to use other people's money. And so, Gil, if you can get a good proof of income or partner up with somebody who has a good proof of income, then you get in the game. The only way to get in the game without proof of income or using other people's money is that you have to use your own money. And if you don't have your own money, you either have to go to investors, and they for sure are going to like double check everything before they give you money. And so the best bet, the path of least resistance is going to go through lenders, some sort of bank, private lenders or something like that. And they usually want some sort of guarantee that you're going to give them, pay it back. So, well, let me say, I'm thinking about this. If you did hard money, they would do the structure and the property itself. And so they might not check your proof of income. But they play no games. And it's on a very short term, like 6 to 18 month term. And so it just depends. If you can, Gil, if you're experienced in real estate and you can use hard money to build up a ton of equity within 6 to 18 months, make sure you get the right terms, and then you refinance it with a traditional bank at that time, and then you pay off that hard money and you keep that difference in equity and you can start cash flowing, that could be a strategy. But for now, I always recommend whatever it is, have a steady stream of income. Now, maybe that steady stream of income is something that's not good proof of income because you're an entrepreneur or something like that, and you have really good tax accountant. Yeah, that's gonna be challenging. In that case, do what I did, and I partnered up with somebody who has higher net worth and has more cash or has a higher proof of income. Okay. Last couple here, or actually no, we have a couple. Okay, some of you have already asked questions, so I'm gonna skip them over. I'm not skipping over you. I just want to get to the folks who haven't. Okay. Oh, you have all asked questions already. Okay. All right, I'll start back at our Dane hasn't had a question answered yet. Okay, will building an ADU by purchasing a modular system resolve the tight labor issue? Since the modular companies can build the entire project elsewhere, then install it. Just absolutely, Dane. You're correct. You can do that. You can do that, and it's good. Just remember, you're paying a premium for the modular home, though. So typically, the modular home will probably cost you, I don't know. I'd have to dig into them a little bit more, but it's going to cost you at least 1.5 to 2 times more than if you built it on site. You know what? I say that, but now I'm thinking about it. For $50,000, how many square feet is that boxable one? Maybe. Look into it. But I know some of the other modular systems or modular homes, usually the square footage price, once you get it craned in and all that stuff, it typically is 1.5 to 2 times more money than if you just built a normal stick-built or framed home. Christopher Ford, have you ever seen or heard of any underground built-in hillside structures on Airbnb? I have. Somebody was that you, Christopher? Somebody sent me something. No, it was a female that sent it to me. It's Lauren? Lindsay? Somebody sent, I think it was Laura. She sent me those. So like those hobbit holes that are built in the hillside. Very, very cool. Awesome. Great insulation. Basically, you can almost survive a bomb dropping near you. Yeah, they're awesome. They would bring in a lot of stuff. The thing is, it's kind of like that shipping container that I showed inside the training. You're going to have issues with equity and reselling it. Even if you get it permitted, how many people are going to want to buy a bunch of hill homes, right? So that's the only thing they want to get. Now, maybe you run the calculations and you're okay with that because you're doing a cash flow play. So big difference. Okay. Noah, you said earlier when you remodel property, you can take out a HELOC on the value generated. Can you go into a little bit more? I thought you could take out HELOC based on the loan amount. Do you have an appraiser come out to get approved for the higher quality amount, equity amount? Yes. So typically, you can take anywhere depending on the lender and depending on your relationship and your credit score, financial factors, and whether the residence is a primary residence or not. You can take out between 75. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, you guys, if you guys know that lower number. But it's going to be, let me go back to this. They'll allow you to take out depending on your debt to income ratio. They factor that in too. So typically it's around 75 to upwards of like maybe 89, 90%. I forget what it was. But it's somewhere right up there. Typically, it's up to 80% though. That's the general range that they let you bump up to. And so if you generate a ton of extra equity and you are, let's say that your loan, I'm going to make up a number here. Your loan is only, your mortgage, not your loan, your mortgage is only at 60% of your new equity amount. So there's a 20% gap there that you could use as a HELOC. All right, or you can just refinance it and pull it out as cash too. But then you're gonna have to start paying the interest immediately. Instead of a HELOC, it's basically like a credit card, and you only pay interest when you use it. Does that make sense? I hope that answers your question, Noah. Good question. Amani Holmes. Hey, Kai. Hi. When you say we can make money off of equity, do you mean having a structure and borrow against it to fund future projects? Yes. So cash and money is your leverage to build or create more assets. And remember, assets are not just like this phone. This phone's not an asset because it doesn't make you money, but it technically does if I do work off of it. But like if you have anything like a boat, right, that you don't rent out, you don't do anything with, that's not an asset. It's a liability. But if you can go buy something, a boat that you rent out to people and you actually create real cash flows off it, now it's an asset. So that's what I'm talking about, using that equity to then go out and do more stuff with it. Okay. Yesterday, you have an estimate of $125,000 for a 725 square foot A-frame, but I'm curious, is it better to do a 400 square foot mini version? Could I get equity on that as well? You'd have to check your county. 400 square feet might be on the lower end of getting something permitted as a dwelling unit. Most of that equity is going to be built on the permit side of stuff. And so you want to get things permitted. And now there's certain ways, even if you can get it permitted, the equity is going to be very tough if it's not usable for the vast majority of people. That's why I like my ADUs and my guest homes and stuff to be bare minimum 600 square feet. Sometimes the upper end is usually 800 square feet for a lot of counties. And so you like to play in that window there because it's easier for like a single mom, even a couple or parents to live in that, right? You got to think about resale too. So a lot of times I tell you, don't ignore traditional real estate, but when I say ignore it, I'm saying it with a little bit of tongue in cheek. You want to think about it too, because what you do dictates how much money you make on the equity side. And remember, the equity side is so important because it's instant money, HELOCs, right? But also, if I'm going to be making 3 to 6% every single year, I want my valuation as high as possible. So I'm making a ton of truly passive, it's not income yet, but passive growth in my net worth because I did it correctly. So that's why I would gear more towards a little bit larger and then make sure that you can get the permits correctly for it. And then you can generate the equity too. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So I'm reading something that somebody says, don't read out loud. Oh, I just piqued everybody's curiosity. I use to send you the correct number so we can each other. Okay. Yeah, so somebody was just asking, they're trying to sign up for the program. Their partners, they're couple, which couples can sign up under one account. Business partners, you can sign up with 2 people if you guys are legit partners, and that's going to be on the honor system. And by the way, if you guys, towards the end, we've only got about a little bit more than 24 hours. We've got 30 hours before the end of the program. And so if you guys want to sign up and get into the payment program, do it. I want you guys to be a part of it. Okay. So let me go in here. Jamie, just send me an email. Send me an email and then I'll take care of you. Okay. Puya, Kai, I'm sorry I missed yesterday. Puya, how dare you miss yesterday's webinar? How dare you? I'm just kidding. So my question might be completely out of context. Do you think it's possible to GC an entire new build construction project remotely? The place where I'm thinking of building is 3.5 to 4 hours away. Ooh, Puya, it is possible. I would not recommend it for your first project. To GC it, it's tough. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been doing this for a while. It's challenging for me to GC something out in my front lawn, okay? Now to GC something that's 3.5, 4 hours away and you need to be on site to answer an inspector's question, or I don't know, somebody doesn't know, they can't read the plans correctly, or they order the wrong material and they start putting up the wrong material, or whatever it is, right? It's very challenging to do from 3.5, 4 hours away. If you're doing it that far away, I would either suggest that, I know you're not gonna do this, but this is my suggestion, is you either buy an Airstream or trailer and you have one on site and that's where you live during construction, or you just hire a builder or GC. Yeah. All right. Let me get these out of here. John Mosley, I'm hoping to do a land hack, but my area is super expensive. I was planning to outside of the city, but I did find that Philly actually is really good for Airbnbs, but lots within 30 miles from Philly are small and pricey. Question, as part of the program, could we actually find golden triangles or even possible lots for investment? Yeah, so we will go through, and I'm actually thinking about having students select golden triangles as part of the program and kind of do like a hot seat where we as a class, we kind of analyze it with the student. But in terms of actually showing you and telling you this is a golden triangle, like go in here, John, and invest in here, we won't be doing that. But I mean, definitely I want you and the other students as the homework, you'll be working with each other to identify golden triangles and then running back and forth with each other to make sure that you guys did it correctly. And then obviously in class, I'll teach you how I do it and what specific things I'm looking for when I'm building out all the triangles. So at the end of the day, it's actually better than me telling you where it is, because now you can go do it several times over, even without my help, after you work with me. And then you have all of your awesome classmates to help you out in the future too. I hope that helps, John. What's the best way to use 50 anonymous attendee? I'm assuming you're the same anonymous person. How come you don't even want to make up a cool name? Like you could be like Blaze Force or like Superman or like Goku, but you just anonymous attendee? Come on. What's the best way to use $50,000 with no land ownership? Lease and hack, my friend. Lease and hack. 3 hours away. Yep, 3 hours away. That's still kind of far. Varun, last question. Okay, do you know if the $250,000 property sale tax exclusion has a grace period? Currently debating selling my current home, but won't be buying for some time. Does it have a grace period? Sale tax exclusion. Are you talking about the increase in equity on your primary residence? Is that what you're talking about, Varun? If so, that's what you're talking about. There's no grace period. If you're talking about the 1031 exchange where you move equity from one rental property over another one, I believe that's 180 days. Check into that. And I should probably know that. But I believe it's 180 days. It gives you 90 days to find something, and then another 90 days to close. So a total of 180 days. But if you're talking about that $250,000, if you're a single person and you have a primary residence and you sell it and you have like up to $250,000 in equity and you don't have to pay that, not to pay taxes on that, oh my gosh, everybody out there, this is how you build wealth quickly, okay? I did this a couple times in my 20s, is that I didn't have to pay taxes on up to $250,000 in built equity. All right. Remember, taxes, depending on what bracket you're in, is between, 15, 20%, all up to 40%. You don't have to pay taxes on $250,000. All right. And you can spin that off and buy more assets. That period, check with the CPA. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm not your legal advisor. I'm not your CPA. Okay. But typically, if you live inside that primary residence for 24 months cumulatively out of 60 months, you get that tax benefit. There's no grace period needed. You just need to be able to prove that you live there for 24 months out of 60 months. Not your CPA. Go check with your CPA. All right, Ricardo James. If you buy raw land, 8 acres, would you build a tiny home community? BYOH, bring your own home. Oh, okay, gotcha. Rent the land or build a glamping site. Depending on zoning and permitting and how much work I want to do, both sounds great to me. Just remember, if you do a BYOH, you'll probably be able to rent it out between $500 to $1,000 a month with hookups, which is good money, depending on how many you want to put on there. The other side of things is if I build a glamping site, I could charge between $100 to $300 a night, which would generate per site well over $1,000, probably closer to $3,000 to $5,000 a month. So either or, but that side, I forget who said it, but somebody said earlier, maybe it was Brady, is that a lot more return, but a little bit higher risk, and then also more management, more time. So it's up to you. But Ricardo, it all comes back down to zoning and permits. David Westenberger. What market would you start your glamping tent business if you had to start all over? Good question. If I had to start all over, like assuming now, like today, I would pick an environment. I'd pick based off climate. So I'd be picking somewhere that has the golden triangle, multiple golden triangles, and has year-round, or it's close to year-round, good climate, not too humid, no snow. That's what I would do. Yeah, I don't know if that helps you or not, but Southern Utah, Texas, maybe Arizona. Yeah, that's what I would be focusing on. Oh, okay, Varun. Glad you found your answer. You're welcome, Puya. You're welcome, David. All right. All right, last couple, and then I need to go get dinner going. Okay, how many people are? Oh my goodness, there's still 80 of you in here. You guys are so fantastic. American 556, buy a crappy property and relist it for $100,000 more. That's not totally untrue because I'm noticing it right now. They're doing that. What do you think about Nicole Snyder? Hi, Nicole. What do you think about using this strategy? What do you think about using this strategy for a profitable eco-village international community? What do you think about using this strategy for Are you talking about an eco-village international community? Is that what your question is? Sorry, Nicole, I don't quite understand. Yeah, I don't know what's. I got to check with the 1031. Are they really under attack? They're going to change it? Maybe. We do. Gosh, I just wish, like, don't you, not to go on a rant here, but don't you guys just wish that Democrats and Republicans could get along and then come together and then figure out what's the best for both worlds, like a compromise, instead of having extremes on either side and just going back and forth depending who's in office? It just seems like it's a better, more constructive way to come in the middle instead of like axing entire tax advantages or social programs, is to come to the middle and just like, hey, listen, I know I'm black, I know you're white, let's come together, let's make gray, right? It just seems way better than just like getting rid of all these programs. And then the next person who comes in who's going to be a Republican is just going to reinstate them or make it even better or, you know, even worse from a Democrat's perspective, and then vice versa. Anyways, okay, my 2 cents, sorry. We've gotten some political, and by we, me, I've gotten some political and racial stuff the last 2. Kind of used to be like that. Yep. I just wish the parties would work together. Everybody's so like, nah, I don't like you. I'm just like, come on. Like, I'm sure all of us in this room, we don't completely agree on everything. I'm sure there's a lot like Chris who does like the syndication. I don't necessarily agree with that for myself, but I'm not gonna like hate on Chris and say that he's a horrible person, right? Chris, you're probably awesome. Okay. Let me jump over here. A golden triangle without a big city like a major national park, lakes, or other natural. Yeah, West Slope Outdoors. You can definitely do that. I talk a little bit about when to break the rules, and if you are really near major attractions like that, absolutely you can kind of steer away with that. You do have to plan for it accordingly because you got to remember now you have an issue with supplies, laborers, and cleaning crews, and then potentially managers. So it's not just the setup phase that we have to consider. Now you're talking about the management side of stuff. Okay. Use the land of your problem. Oh, okay. No, so Nicole, you're talking about building an eco-village. I'm not super hyper aware of what exactly an eco-village is. So maybe you can educate me on that. Is that saying that you're building everything out of like renewable resources and that everything's like you're trying to recycle everything? Is that what it is, Nicole? Chris, I'm just messing with you. I totally understand. It's a good idea. Okay. Let's go over to Zoom chat. You guys keep blowing up the chat in Zoom. All right. Last one, I promise, and then I gotta go, and then I'm gonna let you guys go because even though is there still 80 of you in here? You guys are rock stars. There's still 70 of you in here. Okay. Answer. Oh, you guys are just talking with each other. Okay, good. Look at Chris, just wheeling and dealing in here. I should start taking a percentage of all your profits. How about that? Instead of doing a land hacking program enrollment price, I should just I get 10%. That'd be so unfair to you. Can you imagine that like in like 20 years, you still have to give me 10% of all your profits and your proceeds? I should do that. And then prove the models like, hey, look, all these people. I'd be like Kevin O'Leary. Just taking... You guys like my Blaze Force? That's going to be my new name. Blaze Force. Okay. I think AA is an automatic name given to those who chose to not set a name. Probably not the same person. Monica, you're probably right. And I'm just making fun or teasing somebody. And I already discussed it with Mike. Okay, fantastic. I was right about the 250,000. Awesome. What was your worst investment? Most times we learn from our mistakes. Great question, Cena. My worst investment, an HOA condo. Yep. Now, and it was an HOA condo built in like one of those like mass produced like developments. And you had little tiny driveways and it was just like really poorly built. It was my very first one. I didn't know any better. It was actually more of a townhome, but it was classified as a condo. So different designation, which helped with taxes and stuff. But still, it was horrible. Would not. That was my worst one. It limit me on the HOAs. They limit you on both rent, long term, and obviously short term. And so you have to get onto the waiting list because there's this thing with HOAs and large developments like that. And I understand it, but it sucks at the same time. Is that they can't fall underneath a certain threshold of primary residence. Otherwise, they lose their insurance for the entire development. And so there's this list for long-term rentals. And you have to get on the list in order to rent out your place as a long-term rental. So your place could, in theory, just sit empty when you live somewhere else because you're not on that list for an HOA. Ridiculous. Every single HOA has it. It's whether they reinforce it or not because it falls underneath their insurance policy. And so that's when I was educated on that, and I vowed to never buy in an HOA ever again. Good question, Cena. All right. Robots. Where's this robots and rockets? Did I talk about robots and rockets? Sam, did you sign up? Looking forward to the program. Awesome. Okay, I'm glad that you're going to be part of the program. All right. You guys are so funny. I don't know. I just like lit a match with that whole politics thing. I'm sorry. Never take the royalties package. Take my royalties package, though. Come on. The Foresters. HOA condos when you're sandwiched between the worst two people on earth. Fines. Yep. Kai, the HOA you're talking about sounds more like a co-op. I'm not sure if it was a co-op. It was more of it was definitely just a traditional HOA. You know what? It's so funny is that I got like blacklisted because of that property. And then my other property just so happened to change the other building changed their management program, their management, HOA management. I don't know what you call it. Yeah. Whoever manages the HOA, it switched over to that same company, and I had just sold the other place to get rid of it. And then my second place, I had the same exact person who was managing the new place. Oh, we were both like, you're kidding me. I have to deal with you again? All right. Okay. Oh, okay, there's a couple. Okay, let me answer Lala. Okay. Sorry, I was talking about you earlier, Lala. Welcome to the program, and I forgot that it was Lala. I was calling you Lulu, which was my niece's name. Okay, so to answer, going back to Nicole's thing, yes, natural buildings, etc., along with sustainable living for people. Okay, yeah. It's been very helpful watching videos. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for watching the videos. I appreciate it. Yeah, so with that type of stuff, I'll admit I'm not familiar with it, but just because I'm not familiar with it doesn't mean that it can't be profitable. I think there's a good customer base there. You'd have to do a little bit more research on who is going to be willing to come there. Like do you have a customer base that's so strong? And let's just do this. This is a good example. If let's say that we were roughly near each other that had the same amenities in the same golden triangle, and I had my shipping container set up, and you had your eco village. What's the price difference that could you charge to compete with me? And then from a customer standpoint, why would they choose you over my place? And why would people choose my place over yours? And if you can answer that question from an average guest, and you can answer it and it favors you, then 100% go with it. But I think that requires a lot of market research and then understanding your customer base, which I'm assuming you do. But the one thing I would say to be careful of is a lot of times we are our own customers. So I'm the millennial customer that I cater to, and we think through our lens. And we may think like, oh yeah, I'd pay for it. So then everybody else would pay for it. But in reality, your focus group or your target audience is such a small niche area that's very different from you. Does that make sense? You just don't want to project yourself onto your group of guests or customers. So that's just one thing to be careful about. It's not just about Eco Village, it's about anything. Okay. But yes, yeah, the more unique, the more different, and you can cater to people like that and get them on board to live sustainably and knowing that they're helping the environment. By the way, have you guys watched that new Netflix movie or video documentary out? Oh, what's it called? It has David Attenborough in it. Oh, it's gonna kill me. We just watched it last night. Watch it. I watched that and I watched another one. All these things are just making me like, how am I impacting the environment? How am I hurting the environment? And it's basically talking, if you guys are out there and you guys are just like, blah, blah, don't care about that stuff, watch it. It's interesting. Or even if you disagree with it, it's very interesting to see the evidence they put out for climate change and everything. But it makes, anyways, I'm getting back to the point where it makes me think about like, hey, how do I use more recycled materials, or how can I create an experience that aims at that target of people that do want to help the environment or make a change in climate or global warming or climate change or anything like that. And then for all you other folks out there, maybe you cater to the flat earthers and all those folks too. That could be a good business as well. I don't know. All right. Oh yeah, I remember those code camps, Chris. I remember those code camps. Andrea Garcia, Nicole, wondering if you could turn that into an attraction of some kind, an educational program. That's a good idea, Andrea. Andrea, are you signed up for the program? I'll set us up with a contract for 10% if you're not signed up yet. All right. Intentional. I thought you were saying international community. I'm sorry. Alternative lifestyle for people to live in alignment with the land and each other. Nicole, I think it's a great idea. I would say the same thing for any other business ventures. Start small, prove the concept, and then grow. Thank you, Chelsea. So, okay, 1031 exchange is 45 days to pick 3 potential properties and 180 days to close. Okay, thank you. I was kind of right. I was sort of there. I kind of got the numbers correctly. You all come over to Zoom tomorrow. We are trading emails. Don't feel comfy doing it here. Yeah, you two might be a little bit different. I think most of Zoom is also most of the people in class too. So, hey, everybody who just trickled in YouTube, if you're watching this, we're towards the tail end of the Q&A, so you missed the training. I'm sorry, but you can jump into the program. We got a lot of cool students just signed up. I am so stoked to have all of you. Okay. You guys are just talking with each other again here. Hey, I told you not to touch it. Are you still in here? Good to see you. He was like one of my, or she, I don't know who you are, but you were one of my original subscribers from like 3 years ago. Good to see you in here. Okay. Yeah, Nicole, we'd love to have you part of the program if you want to join us. Today there's a payment plan, and then there's also, you can pay, not full price, it's my discounted price, but you can pay all in one lump sum for a discounted rate. Up to you. All right, say we found an area in the country that has a pretty sweet GT. What's a GT? GT. But you guys always use these acronyms that I don't know what they stand for. Has a pretty sweet GT, but doesn't have many Airbnbs. And the ones that are there don't seem to be doing well. Golden Triangle. Duh. Land is cheap, worth investing. Sweet Golden Triangle, doesn't have many Airbnbs, and the ones that are there don't seem to be doing well. My first question is to ask, why aren't they doing well? Because there's usually two types of questions, or two answers. There's maybe more, but I'm thinking that on the fly here. One answer is that they suck at managing it, and they're poorly ran Airbnbs, poorly designed, all that stuff. The second one is that you just don't have a lot of foot traffic coming through there. And so my biggest question, if it's a sweet Golden Triangle, why isn't there a lot of foot traffic, or why isn't there a lot of travel going through that area? Okay. Getting towards the end. Soulskate 808. Holla. What's up, Hawaii? Where do you look to figure out if city-town areas are merging and will become popular in the future? Honestly, you go to Google Maps. Seriously, that's where I go. Google Maps. And silly enough, I have news articles just kind of popping up all the time, and travel articles, like, and I just read them. You just kind of see what's happening. Whoops. Nicole, you've been thinking about weeks. Come on in. Jump on in. The water's warm. By the way, you know this by now, Nicole. If you don't find value in it, 30 days money back. That's how I roll. But I keep on having to say that. It's like, I know it's worth so much more, and I know you guys are going to get value from it. Ask anybody who's been a part of my consulting program or consultations, they can say that too. Oh yeah, 10%. I told you not to touch it. That's his actual YouTube name. He. Okay, you're a he. Gotcha. All right. Okay. Last thing. Okay. See you, David. Thanks for coming in. See you, Christopher. Hey, thanks so much, everybody. I'm going to let you guys go because it sounds like everybody has to kind of wrap up. But I am going to be, the last one is tomorrow, managing remotely. Be a part of it. You guys know I love you. I can't believe how awesome this community is. I'm so stoked for this program. Anybody who's still in here, go sign up. Seriously, what do you have to lose other than, some time? Literally, you put the money, you have a payment plan now, okay? You do the $2,400 or the $2,500, $2,447 to be exact. If you don't like the program, in the first 4 weeks of the classes, email me. Let's have a quick discussion, and 100% I'll give you your money back. I just want to know how I can improve. That's it, okay? Go to kaiandrew.com, sign up. Other than that, if you have any questions, email me, message me. I'll be there. I might not be able to answer you right away because my girlfriend's going to be mad that I went way over and we need to go make dinner. But I love you guys all. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye. See ya. Peace out.